Hello, hello, and welcome. Welcome, ghosts and ghouls. It's that time again when we gather around. Oh, sorry, my cat was. I think my cat caught a bug. That's terrifying. It's that time again where we gather around the Holler Goblin and we tell spooky stories. Hello, Spectre. How are you? I am hanging in there, as per usual. Hey, Ollie. Hey, Heather. Hey, Harry. All right, guys, let's give everybody a minute to get in here. In the meantime, start tip tap tapping. I need a little catchphrase. I don't know. That one didn't work. We'll try another one next time. Tippity tapping, maybe? Thank you, Ali. I appreciate that. Little fluffy heart. Get some likes going. More likes means more people, means more ghost stories. And we want ghost stories. Mwahaha. We want all the ghost stories. Hopefully we get all the ghost stories tonight. Hopefully the live stream stays live tonight. We'll see. No promises. But real quick, I just want to say thank you guys for hanging in there with me last night. It was pretty wild because even though the screen was totally glitched out and completely green, you guys stuck it out and you hung in there, and that means the world to me. I really appreciate it. And we weren't able to get any guests last night because the screen was gone. So luckily Tully was on here, so we kind of put him on the hot seat a little bit and interviewed him and asked him a bunch of questions, and that was super fun. But maybe tonight we'll actually be able to have a guest box button on the screen, unlike last night, and we'll get some stories in here. So it's all up to you guys. Tap that screen. Like I said, more hearts means more people, means more spooky stories. Hit the share button. Comment. You guys spam the comments with like some Bigfoot and some lizard man. Throw some witches and some planchettes out there. Did you guys know I made a new emoji? It's a little planchette. It's really cute. I don't know if it looks good. I might remake it. I like it, but I know what it's supposed to look like, so to me it doesn't look all that odd. But you may not know what it is at first glance. But it's a planchette for a Ouija board. The guest box is open, so if anybody wants to come up, we do paranormal stories, extraterrestrial stories, cryptid stories, unexplained stories. I guess we'll do Glitch in the Matrix stories if anybody has one. I don't really know much about that, so you could come up here and educate me on the topic. And also, I'm having a pollen attack from the pollen on the trees. And it's just like, it's everywhere all over the neighborhood, so I'm probably going to strangle all night. Because I'm coughing incessantly from the pollen. It's so bad this year. It's crazy. Hang on a second. Let me mute my... Wowie, wow, wow. Okay. All right, guys, tap that screen. Let's get some people in here. Hit the share button. Send some shares. Share it to your friends. Send it to your mom. If your mom likes ghosts, send the live stream to your mom. You know. Keep spamming the comments. Get some people in here. So, yeah, so if you're new here, we do paranormal stories, extraterrestrial stories, cryptid stories, unexplained stories. We also, once in a blue moon, will listen to a troll story, but it's got to be a good one. It's got to be funny. And you've got to abide by TikTok guidelines, and that's all we ask here. Guest box is open if anybody wants to come up. Hit that little pink and blue person somewhere down on the bottom of the screen. Come on up, tell us a story. Don't make me tell my own stories, guys. Nobody wants that. It's not good for anybody. Let's see. Oh, I see Holly. Hey, Holly. Oh, thank you, Holly. I appreciate that. We also have a subscription, which is super cool. If you guys see the little gold star, I think down towards the bottom of the screen, you hit that little gold star, you get instant access to the Discord. We do lots of fun stuff on the Discord. We do like little mini live streams over there. You want to hear one of my stories? What kind? You want to hear alien story? You want to hear a ghost story? I hate telling my own ghost stories. Hey, Cecil. Oh, thank you, Harry. Appreciate that. Um, that is so cute. I've never seen the little fireball, I don't think. So, let's see, one of my own ghost stories. Oh my god. um, I don't know. Gosh, I feel like mine are all like, they're really kind of long stories because I used to ghost hunt, you know? Used to go ghost hunting quite a bit. So a lot of my stories are all like tangled up in ghost adventuring and UFO God. Interesting. Thank you for the rose. We are good. How about you? We are just waiting on our first guest. We got to get the number up, get out there onto the FYP, and get some people in here with some spooky stories. I think, what should we manifest tonight? I think we should manifest some haunted house stories again, or maybe Ouija board stories. You guys know I love those. Those are my favorite. Thank you. I appreciate that. And it may be kind of slow tonight because it was a holiday, so I don't know. Maybe everybody is like at home in bed sleeping because they had too wild a weekend, you know? And that's all right. That's okay if they went a little too hard and now they're already sound asleep while Netflix plays on in the background. Guys, keep tapping. Let's get the number up. Get some people in here. Hopefully the notification went out to everybody. I'm not seeing the entire Boo crew in here, so interesting. Very interesting. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know about my own ghost stories. Somebody would have to come up here and like come up and talk and maybe like, I don't know, jog my memory or something. It's hard when you're like right on the spot and you have to just kind of think of one out of the blue. I don't know if I could conjure one. I always like to try to tell the short ones though, like I was saying. A lot of them are kind of long. Oh, you got a notification for it? Okay, cool. It's good to know. After last night, I wasn't exactly sure what was going to happen tonight. I didn't even know if I was going to have live access, so surprising. I was very surprised. So far, so good. Let's keep our fingers crossed. I am not amazing, but I appreciate that, I suppose. Yeah, L, I'm so sorry, guys. I got, how do I say this? I got, like, briefly bananaed last night on the stream. Luckily, there were no violations or anything, so everything was fine. But I did get, we'll just say there were some tattletales making some false reports. So, but we survived. We live to tell ghost stories another day, and that's what really matters. Yeah, it was stressful. It was actually really terrifying there for a couple of minutes because I couldn't, like, my live access disappeared at first, and then my entire account I couldn't get in. And I was like, uh-oh, oh boy, and it was really scary. But, you know, false reports do happen, unfortunately, here on TikTok. I'm gonna like email TikTok and be like, hey guys, could you like make a new policy where if people false report, then they have some type of consequences? I think that would be, you know, that would be a fair, logical thing. Hey, Cat Mama. Yeah, I had to reset like 3 or 4 times last night, and then I lost access to my account. But we are here. Hey, from Estill County. Oh, cool, Estill County. Very interesting. Are you familiar with the ghost lots of, what is it, Cobb Hill? Since you're from Estill County. That's one of my favorite paranormal stories from Eastern Kentucky, by the way. Same thing happened to me, Dream. I had the exact same thing happen one time. It was wild. Yeah, if you guys have any stories you want to share, we want to hear your spookiest spooky story. It can be about the paranormal, extraterrestrial, cryptid, unexplained, or a glitch in the matrix. It can just be weird in general. And once in a while, we'll entertain a good troll story, but it's got to be good. If you're going to come up and troll, you got to make it funny. That's, the only thing. And also stay within TikTok guidelines. Other than that, you're welcome to come up and share your stories. Tell us something spooky. Tell us the scariest thing that ever happened to you. We would love to hear it. You had a nightmare before Christmas. That sounds unfortunate, I suppose. I feel like Christmas in and of itself is a bit of a nightmare, so... So you're not familiar with the Cobb Hill ghost lights? It's really interesting. I would love to talk to somebody on the stream here who's had, an experience with those. I've never got to see them myself, but I have been to Estill County a few times, and it's a spooky place. There's lots of, just Eastern Kentucky is spooky all over, so. Yeah, I feel like we're going to have a slow night, guys. We'll give it till about midnight, and if it doesn't start picking up, we may just hop over onto the Discord for a little bit. If it's going to be slow, I'm not gonna sit here and fool with it for too much longer, but we'll see. So if anybody has a spooky story you want to share, hop in the box right meow, come up here and tell us about it. We want to hear your story. The Discord is subscriber only. So it's a perk for the subscribers. Share the love. What is it? Oh, share the live. I do have one, Midnight Rose. It's the exact same name as my TikTok account, but I don't really, I kind of use it just for all the live replays from here I put up over there. Sometimes I do some clips of some of the best stories or some of the stories that people like the most or wanted to hear again. But as far as that platform goes, no, I don't really do much over there. I may return to it in the future, but for now, it is TikTok only for me. Oh, the Cobb Hill Cemetery. Interesting. That's really cool. I wasn't aware that there was a Cobb Hill Cemetery. It's interesting information. I wonder if it's nearby where the ghost light sightings are. I'm not entirely sure exactly where the ghost lights have been seen. I just know it was on Cobb Hill. But it would be interesting if they were close to the cemetery. Yeah, guys, guest box is open. Oh, we have a guest.
Hello?
Oh, there you are. Hello, welcome.
Hey.
There you are. Hello, welcome.
Hey. Let me put this phone up here. Alrighty. Turn this up. Volume. There we go. And click on that. Turn on your camera.
I actually don't allow guests to turn on camera here unless they
Oh,
are
okay.
regulars. So,
Oh, all right. That's
yeah,
cool.
just a safety thing.
All
Are
right.
you ready?
So what kind of story you want to hear? Ghost story, paranormal story? I got a couple both.
Tell us your
My life is.
scariest story.
Oh, okay. That would have to be the haunted house story. Everyone in my family, me, my sisters, my cousins, my aunts, my uncles, they all have ghost stories of this house that my grandmother lived in for like 12 years. You want to hear that one?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. All right. So, uh, I'm Native American, by the way, Creek Indian from Oklahoma. And my grandfather, my dad's side, uh, who were full blood Creek Indians, anyways, he bought this house real cheap for my grandmother. And they were separated at the time, but he bought her a house to live in. And it was a 2-story house in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Now, I don't know when this house was built. We never found out or nothing. But again, everybody in my family has 3 or 4 ghost stories of something that happened to them in this house. This house was our meeting point for our family. My dad had 7 brothers and sisters from my grandmother. And of course, each one of them had 5, 6 kids each. So I had a lot of cousins. And so, and some of them lived up in Kansas. Most of us lived down in Oklahoma. So Tulsa, if anybody knows where that's at, is kind of like in between Oklahoma City and Kansas City. So that was our meeting point for Christmas, Thanksgiving, and 4th of July, and sometimes Easter for my family. We didn't always go there in Easter, but yeah, we'd meet up there 3, 4 times a year, all our family, my aunts, my uncles, my cousins, and we would spend the weekend there. So it'd always be like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 3-day event. Well, and we'd be sleeping everywhere. We'd be sleeping on the floor, on the couches. Sometimes we put up tents, little pup tents in the backyard, and we'd sleep out there just for fun in the summer. But let me tell you about this house. This house, this, now we found this out after she left from the neighbors. And they all said, your family, and these people had lived in this neighborhood for like years. This was an old neighborhood. Anyways, they all said, we're surprised your grandmother lived in that house as long as she did because everybody else left within 6 months before her. So this is like an Amityville horror story here, for real. We used to call it the Amityville of Tulsa, my family. So first off, years ago, some gangsters back in the 20s robbed some banks in Tulsa, and they had that house like as their hangout slash hideout. And the Tulsa police found them, and they had a big shootout in that house. And like 2 or 3 of the gangsters got killed in and outside of the house, and 1 policeman got killed. That was the first one. The second one was a man murdered his wife in the bathroom upstairs.
Okay,
That was
let
the
me interrupt
second.
you real quick, real quick.
Yeah.
TikTok, this is for educational purposes only. We just have to be careful with language a little bit here, so don't get too graphic, if you know what I mean, but keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. But Yeah, so that was the second one. Was man killed his wife upstairs. And then the third one, the third event was another man end up killing two or three women in that house. And that happened sometime like in the 50s, late 50s. So the first one was in the 20s, the second one was in the 30s, and the third one was like in the 50s. And then the last one, sometime like in the early 60s, there was a hippie group there, and they were like doing practicing in black magic there for like 4 or 5 years. And when the police came and shut them down, they ended up finding like 3 bodies in the basement, and a big old pentagram was painted in the basement. So that was the next event. Then years later, this house went basically sold, resold, sold, resold. People were getting in there and then reselling it. They weren't staying. My grandfather comes along, buys it dirt cheap from the bank, gives it to my grandmother. Didn't think nothing of it. Well, so my story, one of them, was we were upstairs in one of the bedrooms, and there must have been, I don't know, I think I was in probably third grade then. Yeah, like third or second grade. And all my cousins that were my age were with me. So there was like 5 boys sleeping in a queen size bed. We were all little boys. And mind you, we're on the second floor. And I wake up in the middle of the night, and I look, and we had the curtains open to the window so I can see the moonlight. And I just had a bad feeling. You know, one of those feelings like you're being watched, and something wasn't right. And I look up, or I should say I sit up in bed, and I'm kind of like in the middle of the bed. And I'm looking out the window, and then from the side of the window, like steps a man. A man that was like what I seen like in the old black and white movies, like an old gangster, wearing like a really white shirt with suspenders and a fedora hat, like a gangster hat. We're on the second floor. It's the middle of the night. I know there ain't no ledge out there. And this dude's all white. And I'm looking, and he's looking at me. And he has like a grin, but like a sinister grin, I would say, like a evil grin. And he's just smiling at me. And then he put his finger up to his lips like, shh. And I got scared, and I laid back down, and I closed my eyes, and I turned sideways. And my cousin was awake looking at me. And he says, "You see him too?" And I nod my head, yes. I said, yes. And we both closed our eyes. I ended up going back to sleep. The next day, I asked my cousin again, the guy that was sleeping next to me. I said, last night at the window, I said, was that a dream? And he goes, if it was a dream, he said, we had the same dream. And he goes, I don't want to talk about it no more. In our culture, we don't like talking about spirits because we believe that you summon them up. That's why we also don't like saying their names, because we believe you're summoning them up. And he says, I don't want to talk about it. Well, the next night I go back to sleep, and I wake up again in the middle of the night, and I'm like, I got to get a drink of water. I'm thirsty. So I get out of bed. I crawl out of bed. My one cousin, my older one that was with us, he's like 2 years older than us. He's like, where you going? I said, I'm going to the kitchen. I'm going to get a drink of water. He said, I'm going to come with you, because he was thirsty. So both of us walk down the stairs, go into the kitchen, get us a drink of water from the sink. And we're looking out the back. It's during the summer. I think it was like 4th of July when this was going on. But we had the back door open. Screen door was there. And we're looking, and we can see the garage, the car garage. And the light in the car, or I should say, there was a light inside the garage, one of those yellow bug lights. And it started flashing on and off. Click, 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 click. And I'm looking, and he sees it. And we both walk to the screen door. We're looking, because we're thinking somebody must be out there playing with the light switch. As we're looking out there, this cop comes walking around the corner. Again, he's like all white. And he's wearing an old police uniform. And he looks at us, and he's just staring at us, and we're staring at him. And I'm like, I turn around and I look at my cousin. I said his name. I said, hey, let's get out of here. So we take off running. We go into the living room. My dad and my uncles are sitting there. They were sleeping. And we wake them up, and I said, hey, there's a cop out in the garage. And my dad says, what? He goes, yeah, there's a cop out in the garage. So they all get up. There's like 5 of them. So 5 of these men, they're grown men, they get up. They go walking out. They go looking around. They got flashlights. They turn on the lights, backyard lights. They're looking around, and we're out there with them. And I said, he was standing right here. And my one uncle, the oldest brother, he goes, no, there ain't nobody here. He goes, there ain't no footprints here. And we look down, there ain't no footprints. And because there was like a bare spot of dirt. And he's like, if he was standing here, there would have been some footprints. He goes, there ain't no footprints here. He goes, there ain't nobody here. And my dad goes, are you sure you seen a cop? And my other cousin was there. He goes, yeah, we both seen him. Well, anyways, nobody's there. We go back in. I lay back down in bed. And I'm thinking to myself, I know I seen what I seen. And I'm like, my cousin seen him too. And I'm like, and at this time, I knew nothing about spirits or ghosts or nothing like that. So that's why I'm like, I know I seen what I seen. I'm like, this guy, my cousin, he's seen him too. I'm like, huh, what's going on? And on the window, I hear a tat, 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 tat. And both me and my cousin, who's still awake, but he ain't saying nothing about it, we both look at the window, and there was that guy that I seen from the first night, standing at the window, looking at us. But he's laughing. But there's nothing coming out of his mouth. He's just laughing. And me and my cousin went underneath the blankets and closed our eyes. We ended up going to sleep. And the next day again, I asked my cousin, I said, did you see that guy at the window? And he says, yeah. He goes, I've seen him before. He goes, he gives me a bad feeling. I said, me too. This is just one event that happened. All my cousins have stories similar like this. of this house, of seeing people, gangsters, cops, women throughout this house during the night. My one cousin got pushed down the stairs on the second floor. She said someone pushed her down the stairs, which I believe. And she was like in fifth grade then. And ended up fracturing her arm. But yeah, that house, what we have a name for, I don't know how we all remember that, I guess trauma, but we all remembered the address of that house. And when we ever talked about that house, we only ever said 1705. And we would say, remember that place, 1705? And everybody would stop, because around Halloween time, once in a while, we'd get together and we would all tell stories of the house. And even, and of course, years later, when we were teenagers, a little bit more grown up, even my aunts and uncles came forth with stories, because they always said, you're just imagining things. They would always tell us that. You're just imagining things. And then it wasn't until we were like 16, 17, 18 years old that then my uncles and aunts would be like, yeah, at 1705, I remember one night I seen this. At 1705, I remember one night this happened to us. But
Wow, that's really that's amazing. So what happened to the house? Is it owned by somebody new or is it still standing?
when my grandmother left, it was, I guess, 4 or 5 years later. Uh, my family, my dad was drove up to Tulsa to go visit one of my uncles, and he goes, "Hey, let's drive by 1705." And when we did, it got burnt down. And the story we heard from my uncle from around town was the neighbors set it on fire. They burnt it down. But yeah, that's what happened to it. Somebody burnt it down.
Wow.
But yeah, it was known as a haunted, one of the haunted spots in Tulsa for years.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Out of curiosity, have you ever tried to look up any of like maybe news articles or something to see if you can see pictures of people involved in some of the atrocities that happened there and see if maybe it looks like some of the entities you saw?
No, I never looked into it other than, like I said, other than what my family had stories of and what I heard from my uncles and aunts. And like I said, all those, what I told you happened was from my uncle and two aunts that lived in Tulsa that asked around about that place. And they told us those stories and said, yeah, this is what happened here. This is why it was so haunted. This is why it was so messed up. It was because this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. Long before we ever moved in there, or my grandmother moved in there. And I don't know how she stayed in there for 11 years. I know I wouldn't have stayed in there for a week. But
Yeah, I don't think I could handle living in a house that haunted. That's a lot.
right? That's what I'm saying. I don't know how she did it, but she did it. Never really asked her about that. By the time I got old enough, she was already passed away by then. But yeah, I don't know. But
Yeah. Well, very cool
that,
story. We appreciate you coming up and sharing that with us. And hopefully, you hang out and listen to some stories with us tonight. And if you want, come back later, share some more stories.
all right. Yeah. All right. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Very cool. Wow, that's a good story. I see everybody in the comments like, "Oh, good story, good story." We had a guest, but they just vanished. Guess if you wanted to be here, come back. If it was accidental, okay. All right, guys, tap the screen. Guest box is open. Ollie, you're at the movies. Oh, that sounds fun. You'll have to let me know what you saw and if it was any good. Um, King, you wish you were lucky enough to have seen a ghost. Yeah, it's weird. It's intense. It's something that you never understand until you experience it, and then when you do experience it, it doesn't make any sense. It's weird, very weird. Guest box is open, guys. If anybody has a story, we did have 2 people, but I don't. They're gone. So, yeah, exactly. Oh, Jesse Kate, I saw that it's your birthday. I think. If so, happy birthday. If it's not your birthday, happy birthday anyway. And then when it is your birthday, I'll have already told you happy birthday. But yeah, I saw something in the comments a minute ago, so I think it's your birthday. Guys, we do paranormal, extraterrestrial, cryptid, unexplained stories. Get up here and share one. If you have a spooky story, we want to hear it. We want to hear your spookiest spooky story. Feel free to jump in the guest box, come up, tell us about it. You could also just tell us something weird in general. It doesn't even have to be paranormal. It could just be scary. We want to hear the scariest thing that ever happened to you. What's up? Samaritan, hello, welcome. Haven't seen you around here. You don't have enough followers? Yeah. Well, you can just hang around and listen to some stories, and someday when you do, feel free to come up. Okay, so it is your birthday. Yeah, you're welcome. I think I saw something too. Somebody was asking about last night. Yeah, we had kind of a situation last night, but I think it has resolved. I think everything's okay for now. We'll see how it goes. 45 big ones. Well, still young. 45 ain't old or nothing. And I say that as someone who is steadily approaching another situation. Yeah, we've had some situations. The last couple of weeks have been a little rocky, but getting through it. Everything is going to work out. I feel old too. I know exactly what you mean. Hey, Cat Mama.
Hey, everybody. Happy birthday, Jesse. Welcome to the club. I'm 45 and I just brought my first pair of readers. Anyways, everyone, I just want to remind everyone you have to watch your language when you come tell your story because TikTok is very temperamental about certain words being said. So if you're in doubt, definitely think of a different word to say the word that you think is questionable.
Yep, we gotta follow the TikTok guidelines here. That's just how it works.
Chloe, I've seen you in the comment section. Get yourself up here. We're the new co-hosts.
That would be awesome, but I know Tully has he has to be quiet at night. He can't make a lot of noise, and it gets noisy on this live, so it would be difficult. We do have a couple of guests, though, Cat Mama. Well, one of them just left. We still have one. You want me to go ahead and bring him up?
Yeah, bring him up.
Alrighty.
Welcome.
Left. We still have one. You want me to go ahead and bring him up?
Yeah, bring him up.
Alrighty.
Welcome.
I think we're having some accidental requests tonight, possibly. Seems like a little bit of a slow night. Guest box is open, guys. If you have a story, come on up and tell it. If it's going to be a slow night, maybe, I don't know, maybe we could hop over to the Discord if it's going to not really pick up too much. We'll see. I know it usually gets a little wild after midnight, so. Andrew, that is terrifying. Do you want to come up and share that story by any chance? Yeah, Jesse, they may have. Some people do fall asleep, and then I bring them up and we can hear them snoring and stuff, and, it happens. Hello, welcome.
Oh, hello. Oh, you can hear me?
Yeah, you got a spooky story for us?
Oh yeah. I could tell one. Um, well, I mean, I have a few of them, but I'll tell one of them. Like one that every time like I scroll through the TikTok and then I see this one, I'll be like, I'll ask my wife, I'm like, babe, you think I should tell that one story? And then she'll be like, yeah, I mean, if you want to. And then I'll be like, yeah, but so all right, so me and my wife, like a couple of years ago, we moved to the Appalachians, and when we went to the Appalachians, our friends like put us up, and like we were in this holler. They lived in a holler. The place is called Future Ancient Farms, but uh, so we were in the holler of Barnardsville, like it's outside of Weaversville a little bit, or whoever knows the Appalachians. And then so what happened was we were getting our barn house ready, so we had to stay in the guest room up at the top house. So we were at the guest room, and then it's like maybe a couple of days went by, and we were hanging out, and then all of a sudden, in the morning time, usually the routine is that like when my wife gets up, she'll like smoke a cigarette outside or whatever, and then she got up, and then who is that? I heard of it. Oh, no, anyway, so um she gets up and she goes to smoke her cigarette one morning, and the exit out to the guest room is like a sliding door, so you could go straight from the room to the porch. So she slid the door open, and she went to go have her cigarette, but all of a sudden she came back in, and she looked all spooked, and then she was like, uh, babe, there's something going on right now. And then I was like, what do you mean, what's going on? And she said, I think there's a man yelling at a lady in the barn over there. And then I was like, what? And then I was like, because kind of like, no, like I got up, and then I was like, no one's going to be hollering at a girl, so like I got up, and I like, was in a rush out there. And sure enough, we heard some hollering going on, like up towards the barn, which was converted into like a art house slash barn or whatever. So we went up to it, and well, I went up to it. My wife stayed where she was, but I went up there, and you could hear this guy like really hollering at this lady. And then like, so I kind of ran after, like, cause after I for sure knew that the guy was getting all like loud or whatever, I ran over there. And then when I hit up to the door, it's like a barn door entrance, like opening thing up on like some steps. And then right when I got up there was nothing at all. Like there was nothing. Nobody was hollering at nobody. It was all like, nobody was there. And then I got all these mad goosebumps and like butterflies down my back or however it is, like it's like spine chilling or whatever. And I was like, you, and we're Native American, or like we're like Lakota or whatever, we're Indian, so like we always have sage and stuff, so like after that happened, um I was like I got out of there real fast, kind of like jumped down them steps a bit, and then like how your back kind of raises up when you move away from things when you're kind of scared, like I kind of like jolted over there, and I was like, oh heck no. And then I was like, babe, that place needs to be smudged. I was like, get your brother, because he's like more braver and stuff. But I was like, heck no. But I wasn't dealing with it. But on the side of my eye, uh, when all that was going on, they say like if you see anything like entities or whatever, like they'll usually happen on the side of your eye, and it's up to you if you're gonna like look over or not. So like on the side of my eye, I kind of like felt like I needed to look over a little bit, but I could see the glimpse of a lady over on the side, but with like almost a blue face or something, and that alone like spooked me. Like even to this day, sometimes when I think back about it, I like even right now too, probably stay up a little longer. But yeah, so but that's all I got for right now though. But that was interesting though. But I love the Appalachians though; it's pretty cool. So thanks
Yeah,
for letting me share. Oh,
that's really scary. We appreciate you sharing that with us. Did he say Indiana? I think he said in the Appalachian Mountains. Yeah. Oh, thank you, guys. Thank you for coming up. We appreciate you. Guest box is open, guys. Somebody come up here and tell us a story. That was a pretty good one. That's I don't know. I've never seen an entity with like a blue face like that before, but I've heard some people out here talk about it. It's kind of strange. Seems like it's common, more common than I would have thought. Cornbread magic. Appalachian cornbread magic. Why do I feel like that should be the name of something? Guys, should I rebrand my channel and name it that? That's a cool name. Holly. Falling leaves. Thank you. Appreciate that. Oh, and thank you guys for the gifts earlier when we had a guest on. You guys know I always try to let the guests talk. I hate to interrupt them when they're telling a story, so I don't always get to thank you guys for it right on time, but appreciate it very much.
I'm on.
Hello, welcome.
Hey, hi guys.
Good, how are you?
Good. So I have a story. This goes back in, I think I want to say like '07. I had to have been like 15 years old at the time. My parents bought this house out in Jersey. Very old but newly renovated. Our first week into moving in there, things were pretty creepy. Just weird vibes overall. Like me and my siblings would be pretty scared to be like alone in the room. We would have things go missing. I had memories of being in the bedroom with my sister watching TV, and next thing you know, we would hear the door rattle, and then it would just pop open, and it's not like there was any drafts or anything. My breaking point came to when every night at exactly 3 or 3:30, sometimes even 2:30, I would wake up in pitch black darkness. It's not like I had sleep paralysis. I would just wake up and just feel this immense like stare that was like around my bed. It was like, oh, it was terrible. So there was a time when I heard my mother call me, right? So I'm like, yeah. And at home they would call me Beba, would be my nickname. So I'm like, Beba, and I'm like, yeah. And then I would hear nothing. So I went downstairs and I'm like, yeah, Ma. And she was like, what? What? And I'm like, you called me. She was like, I didn't call you. And I'm like, Ma, things are going on in this house. Like, I'm constantly hearing you calling me. Like, things are going missing. And she was very skeptical. Like, she always had an answer for everything that I would say or what my siblings would say. And I'm like, I'm getting tired of it. Like, I can't sleep. Like, I'm saying everything. And she's like, oh, you can't put, you can't continue talking about stuff like this. Like, this isn't good for you. And next thing you know, the radio out of nowhere in full blast just turned on. And we both just looked at it. And I'm like, you see, I told you there was something in this house. Just like, oh, no, the radio just broken. But it wasn't. It wasn't. Like, it just crazy. So then there was another time. I had an ex-boyfriend that would drop me off home. And, I had that curfew, just be home before 9. And I would watch TV in pure darkness, like in the living room. So the only light that was illuminating was the TV. So my little brother and my little sister, they would go to bed by like 8:30. As I'm watching TV, I can hear my brother and my sister cracking up upstairs, like cracking up like so loud. And I'm like, damn, why is it that my parents don't hear them? Like, they're so loud. As I go up the stairs, before I even open the door, silence, like pure silence. I open the door and they're just knocked out, snoring. I woke my brother up and I'm like, yo, you were sleeping? He's like, what? I'm like, you were sleeping? He's like, yeah, like, what are you waking me up for? And then I'm like, no, there's no way. I just heard you laughing. And I'm rubbing on my sister, trying to wake her up too. And then she's like, no, like, we were sleeping. Like, what are you doing? Like, I mean, there's no way. Well, and then that following morning, I was telling my mother, I'm like, you guys, you didn't hear that? Like, they were laughing so loud. And they're like, no. So I have plenty more. I just can't think of it at the top of my head. I honestly didn't think that the request was gonna go through since I don't have that many followers. But those are like one of the ones that really like stood out to me because it was a constant hearing my name, doors opening, things going missing. It was just insane.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot. Well, we appreciate you coming up, and if you think of any others, feel free to come back and share them with us.
Got it. Have a good night, guys.
Thanks, you too. All right, very cool. Um, all right, guest box is open, guys. Y'all come on up, tell your stories. If you're new here, we do paranormal stories, extraterrestrial stories, cryptid stories, unexplained stories. We do it all. We want to hear your spookiest spooky story. So hit that little pink and blue person down at the bottom of the screen somewhere. Maybe it's at the top. Maybe it's on the side. I have no idea where it is. Click it, jump in the box, come up, share a story. We want to hear your scariest story ever. And bonus points if it's a Loch Ness Monster story. I hope we somehow manage to make our way to like Scottish talk tonight, because we have a few times. It was very exciting for me because I feel like they have all sorts of stories that I haven't got to hear yet. So would love to hear some of those. We had a really cool one about a foggy moor the other day. That one was really cool. The fog. I don't know if you guys were here for that one. I forget. I think it was like last week. It was a cool story. Let's see. In the meantime, husband is asleep. Yeah. We are on a little late. I have been thinking about doing some streams earlier in the day. Maybe switching up the schedule a little bit, but I feel like, I don't know, I feel like it just works. Like we're here, it's late, it's spooky. Like it's not as spooky at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you know what I mean? So there's that. But yeah, it does seem to work better. Dog mom, no, it's kind of a slow night. It's a holiday. We kind of, suspected it would be slow tonight. It happens sometimes. And also with the warm weather, people are going to be doing more outdoor stuff and probably spending less time on the app. So it's inevitable. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. And if it's going to be too slow, we might go ahead and call it early. But if it picks up a little bit, we might get some really good spooky stories. You heard your name being called and no one was around. Oh, interesting. Hello, Deanna. It is going well. How about you? Yeah, if I change it, I'll definitely let you guys know. Andrew, that is strange and interesting. Everyone is barbecuing and partying. I know some of my neighbors were having like a big party, and I was just like, oh, I wish I was out there doing social things. I don't know any of my neighbors. Like, I don't know. People don't just like socialize with their neighbors, I guess. It's not a thing, unfortunately, but kind of wish it was. Yeah, Deanna, if you want to hop in the box, feel free to come up and share your story with us. Let's see. Hello, welcome.
Hello, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so my name's Deanna, and I grew up in a city called Mesa, Arizona. And when I was little, it was a small town then, and like we had desert all around us, and tumbleweeds would blow through, and it was like right by Phoenix, but there was desert between Phoenix and Mesa then. So it was pretty small compared to what it is now. Anyway. We lived in this residential area, small residential area, and the house that I grew up in was scary. oh my God. I was going to say a bad word, but it was really scary. So what happened was, it was a 3-bedroom house, and my father wasn't there. Just my mom took care of us. So it was my 2 sisters in one room, my 2 sisters in another room, and my mom in another room. And the room that I had was in the back of the house. It had a bathroom in it. But that bedroom was scary. It was all, we lived in Arizona. It's hot here. But that bedroom was always cold. It was cold in there. And I don't know why, but it was always like this chill in there. And I hated to go in that room. I hated it when it was dark. We would had a lamp on the table, and every time, and I would run to turn the light on because it's creepiness in there. And every time I would turn that light on, I'd be inside the dark of the room. I'd go to turn the light, and the lamp would blow out. The light would blow out every time, and I'd run back out. I don't know how many times. Even the other light in the wall would blow out, and it just was scary. So at one night, and when I was sleeping there, I was by the closet. There was a bed by the closet. My sister's was by the window. And every time I'd go to bed at night, I would tuck myself all up in there to make sure nothing was hanging over no parts of my body was hanging over this bed. Because I always felt like there was something there was going to get me. So I'd tuck in there, and I would sleep just still on my back, and just till I fell asleep, I'd just lay like that. So one night, I'm sleeping, and I'm by the closet. And this arm reached out from the closet, and it was a dark figure, and it had like a roby thing on, and it reached out to me to grab me. And I wasn't asleep because I jumped from my bed to right onto my sister on her bed, and she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "There's something in the closet trying to grab me. Something's over there. Get back in your bed." I've refused. I will not go back on that bed. Not tonight. I will not. And she's all like mad and stuff, but I seen it. It was there. It tried to grab me. And so it was just really creepy all the time there. So another time, nobody was home but me and my dog. And I was in the living room, and I could see down the hallway from where I was sitting on this chair. And then all of a sudden, my dog started growling, and all the hair rose up on it was a girl, her back. And she's growling and looking down the hall, and I looked down the hall, and this thing just kind of wafted across from my bedroom into my mom's room. It was like just a foggy mist. It just whisked over there into the other room. And my dog saw it first, so there was something there, and then I seen it. So there was something there, and that house just creeped me out. I had nightmares all the time, and I just seen just weird stuff going on. But I never really mentioned it to anybody, really, my sisters or my mom or nothing. And so, like, when we got out of there and older, I was telling my sisters that, and she goes, "We seen it too." We were older then. We were in the living room, we just froze. We froze in our chair when we seen it down the hallway. So there was something there, right? But after a while, we got older and we got out of there, and thank God, because I still have nightmares. But I was at a funeral of a friend, and it was a friend that was across the street. We had got older. I was at a funeral, and so like our people from the neighborhood were there. And I was talking to a girl, she was young, my age, when we were kids. She lived one house over. And I was telling her about it, and she goes, "Yeah, that happened at our house too." I said, "What?" She goes, "Yeah." She said, "Didn't you know that our houses were built on a burial ground?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't know that." She goes, "Yeah, they were built on the burial ground there." And that's why we had weird things happen at our house too. So that house was so scary, and it just gave me nightmares. I still have nightmares to this day of that house, because I saw things. And things were just not right. I mean, it didn't like hurt me, but it was there. You know what I mean? It was there. That thing in the closet was the worst. When it came out and grabbed that hand towards me, that was the scariest thing. But I always had the feeling of presence there, feeling that you're watched all the time, feeling like just an uneasy feeling my whole childhood there. And there was something there. So I always wanted to go back to the house like now and ask the people if they ever noticed anything in that house, because I know there's something there. That's all I would say. But I still have nightmares.
That
Yeah.
would be interesting to know if the new residents have experienced anything, because they probably have if it's that
I
haunted.
know they have. They had to have because I tell you, it was always there. And it was so frightening when I was little, so frightening in that room. It was
Yeah,
really
that
just
sounds
frightening. So that's what the story I wanted to tell. I still want to go back there and ask people about that house, but I haven't been back there yet. I don't even want to. I don't want to go there. Don't want to be there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you ever do end up going and you find anything out, you'll have to come back and update us and let us know
Okay.
if yeah, let us know if
I'll
they
let
have
you
any
know.
activity.
Well, thank you for letting me tell my story.
Yeah, thank you for sharing with us. We appreciate you.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye. It is definitely haunted house night. Very cool. I was hoping we'd have a haunted house night. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to resist. I would have to go ask. I would have to just like send them a letter maybe and be like, "This may seem strange, but I used to live there, and I want to know." And also, the internet wants to know, is it still haunted? I would totally do that. Guest box is open, guys. We're having such a slow night, but it's a good night. We're having haunted house stories. Bunch of good stories tonight. You all keep tapping the screen, keep hitting the share button, spam the comments with a Bigfoot or a Mothman or a Lizard Man. What else? We need some other, let's see, what are some other cryptids that I could turn into emojis? We need a new cryptid emoji, I feel like. One of my cats is yodeling. It's that time of the night for him to start his song and dance in the background. Um, yeah. Guest box is open, guys. If anybody wants to come up and share a spooky story, we want to hear your spookiest spooky story. I know Harry, that cat is, he needs to be an opera singer. I need to get him onto Broadway at least. He just has this urge, this fire burning inside of him to sing at the top of his lungs at midnight every night, and there's just no stopping him. So it is what it is. But guys, if you're new here, we do paranormal stories, extraterrestrial stories, cryptid stories, unexplained stories. We do it all, especially Loch Ness Monster stories. And I know some people have laughed at that, but I think we've had 2 sea monster stories at this point. Well, one was technically a river monster, the other one was a sea monster. Both were terrifying, if you ask me, because I'm afraid of water, much less things in the water. So, very scary. But yeah, if you have a story you want to share, feel free to hop in the box, come up and tell us about it. Your cat's looking around. Yeah, I think right now, I think Scooter is the only cat awake. I'm pretty sure, and that's why he's walking around yodeling. Hey, TJ, but he's trying to get somebody to play with him, but everybody's sleeping. So, TJ, you missed some good stories. We've had some good ghost stories tonight, lots of haunted house stories. Also, guys, if you're new here, we do have a subscription. You get instant access to the Discord where we do lots of fun things behind the scenes. We do like little mini streams over there. We do tarot readings. We do all kinds of wild stuff. We're going to do even more stuff in the coming week. We've got some cool stuff coming up. I'm not going to tell you. It's going to be a surprise. You'll have to join the Discord and see. But if you want to be part of the community and throw a little support at the channel, if you like what we do here, it is a great way to do both of those things simultaneously. So click that little subscribe button and become a subscriber and join us over in the Discord. We got some new people last night. We had quite a few people subscribed, but I never did see them join the Discord. So hopefully they make their way over there eventually. I know it is a little bit confusing, but if you guys subscribe, any help that you might need, I do tech support for it. I'm your personal tech support agent. All right, guys, I am rambling. Somebody's got to come up here and tell a spooky story. Cat Mama, do you have any spooky stories you want to tell us about? Anything at all?
I have told my spooky stories before, but I'll tell this one for Dog Mom in there since she had asked if I had seen any ghosts. The best one I had was
Oh, cat mama, where'd you go?
I accidentally clicked a different screen on the window on the phone. But Dog Mom, this is the best one I had. So pre-COVID, I met a guy in 2019. We dated and we actually broke up right before the pandemic started. One night we went to the casino, we got really, really drunk. We went back to his place to sleep it off. Now, mind you, it had been a year after his significant other had passed away. So we're sleeping, and you know the witching hour, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I wake up and I'm still kind of drunk, and I see a figure at the end of the bed. It was a woman, and I automatically knew that it had to be the significant other. But I was kind of drunk still, and I was like, okay, that's weird, and I went back to sleep. Months later, he shows me a picture, and the picture confirmed that's exactly who I saw. It was the significant other. And it gets even better because guess what? She died in that bed and I was sleeping on her side. So I think she was trying to tell me to get the F out of her side and get away from her man.
It's terrifying. I don't even know. Wow.
Oh man, that one's the best. That one has to be the best. Like, I'm being cock blocked by a ghost.
Exactly. Oh my gosh.
Someone
All
said
right.
that it scared you. Actually, it's not kind of scary because I've seen other apparitions before, so I was kind of used to seeing things, but and plus I was in an inebriated state, so you know.
Looks like we have a guest. We have a couple guests. I'm gonna go ahead and bring up.
Hello.
Hello, welcome.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Tonight's been actually a really great, night so far.
Hmm.
So this is pretty much where you tell your scary stories, right?
Yep.
All right. Well, let's get into it. I was living in a apartment out in Masury, Ohio. I had a son who was 2 at the time, and he has the touch, so he doesn't really talk much or anything like that. But after about 2 weeks of moving in there, he started not wanting to be around me as much and started staying up in his room a bit more. Well, I want to say about a week after that, from noticing all of that, I went to go up and put the clothes away, not only in my room, but in his room. And as I was going by my room, I see him rolling his ball into his closet. Now, mind you, his closet was those 2-way door openings, it's like the shutter doors, but they fold. And I asked him who he was playing with because that kind of alerted me, and the ball did roll back to him. Now, at first, I'm thinking, okay, this it's normal. He just rolled the ball a little too hard and it bounced off the wall and came back to him. You know what I mean? No. After about from that point, started noticing a very rampant, and when I say rampant, I mean a very rampant escalation in activity in my home. Yeah, from that point. So my son was at my mom's and I would hear someone running up my stairs and running down my stairs. And me knowing my son can't run that fast up or down steps at 2.5 years old, I'm like, what the crap? Well, let's go a few months after that. Me and a fellow that I was with, and I have my 3 daughters too. We were in my room, we were talking, we were bullcrapping, and I asked him, "What do you think about ghosts?" Because I, at this point, already knew my house was haunted, you know. This is me living here for about 8 months by this point, and have been dealing with just random things like water turning on in the downstairs kitchen, and all kinds of just stupid shit. Hearing my fridge open and close, coming downstairs and seeing some of my cabinet doors opened, knowing my son's not there to do it, and it's not at his height to be able to do it. So, you know, we're talking about the ghosty goos, and he's like, I'll fight anything, being a guy, that macho thing that guys do. And then here we hear this being running up the stairs, and then for the first time that I've ever seen was a shadow-like figure of a child about, 6 to maybe 8 years of age in height. And we seen it run past the hallway and into his room. This dude jumped up so quick and grabbed me and was like, "What was that?" I was like, "By the way, my house is haunted." And he's like, "Now listen, I will fight a fire-breathing dragon because it's physical and I can literally put my hands on it if it's there. But I can't fight something that I can't see." And it was one of the most funniest and like the most, I just couldn't even. And then I want to say about 25 minutes after that, he hears a giggle, and he looks at me and he's like, "I have to go pee. Will you come pee with me?" I couldn't even. It was a whole thing. That was a whole thing. It's not exactly really scary, but it's just, for me, it wasn't very scary by that point. It was because I was kind of used to it. For him, this was absolutely mortifying. Like, this was something that you see in movies, that you hear about in movies, you know what I mean? He's like, "No, this isn't real. What did I just see?" Like,
Yeah, I know what you mean. That is hilarious and terrifying all at once.
right. And I'm over here like, I mean, it's okay. It's just a ghosty goo that might be a child in the house. I don't know. Like, we don't fucks with Fred, and Fred don't fucks with me. And as long as you leave Fred alone, like. But here's the thing. My son used to call it bugga. He would point at his closet and say bugga. And I'm like, what in the... I've tried to look this thing up through demology books, through like archetype energies that you hear about, through like, I don't know, biblical things. I've tried to look up this name and I cannot find the name to what he kept calling it, but he kept calling it bugga and would point at his closet all the time. And I'm like, okay, portal be gone kind of situation, bro.
Yeah, that is kind of strange. I wonder, I don't know what that would even be. Maybe the comments. Yeah, boogeyman. That's kind of what I was thinking. Is it like
But
booger
listen, if it
or
was the
something?
boogeyman, why would he be playing with it? Like, as if it's like a fun, friend to just be like, hey, like, he was not scared of his room or to go in his closet. He was not scared to shut the doors and just be in there doing him for hours, bro. Like, where did he go? Like, oh, he's been in his room for about an hour and a half in the closet. Cute. Like,
Yeah, that is so strange. Oh my gosh. Well, that's really cool. Do you have any other stories you want to share? Is that your only
no,
paranormal
that's not my
experience?
only encounter. I've had a lot of encounters. When I was younger, my dad took me to a cemetery where his grandma and grandpa was, so that would be like my great grandparents. And he was like sprucing up their grave and stuff and doing that because that's like something that they do and everything. They still kept like, the family members, whatever, close and everything. So as he was out there, I seen a little girl run around a tree. And when I went around the tree to find this little girl, because I asked my dad if I could go play, and he said, yeah, and I went off and stuff, and I was like, fuck, I was probably like 6, 7 years of age. And this girl was like, I don't know, 10 or 11, because she was a lot taller than me. Not a huge ton taller than me, but I could tell she was older, so I went to try to go play and with her and stuff. And yeah, when I ran around the corner, it was a girl in like I wouldn't say an older day dress, but it was like there was like buttons at the front of it, and it would clasp over, kind of like overalls, like an overall dress. I would say it was like the color grayish, and then she had like a shirt that had like flowering on it. And she had no eyes, and it scared the shit out of me. Like, she came from out of the tree, bro. Like, she went around the tree and was gone, and then I went to turn around and she like came out of the tree. It was, dude. Dude, no.
Oh, wow.
Or the time that we went off to the Appalachian Mountains, and I went with a couple kids over into the woods, and then we came out into a clearing, and there was a family over there in the clearing, and they had a few kids and stuff. And when we left from there, it was daytime. Like, daytime. And when we went into the woods and came out, it was like already dark. But when we went in, it was still daytime. It was still like, bro, like we literally only went maybe a quarter of a mile from one side of the wood clearing to the other, and was just in there for, I guess, hours and hours, and it was still daytime. We just got lost in the sauce of the Appalachian Mountains, yo.
Yeah, it sounds like it. That's really strange. I've heard of a lot of missing time stories, where a lot of time elapses, but I've never heard it the opposite way around. So that's really weird.
Yeah, well, it seemed like, I don't know how to explain it. It was just daylight there, and the kids that were in there, they were pretty fun. And all I said was, it's like after a few hours of playing with them, I was like, I looked at my one friend and I said, hey, Lydia, do you want to go back towards the house and grab the slingshot? And she's like, yeah. And then I went over to the other kids that we met that was in that clearing, and I was like, hey, I'm going to go back towards my place and go grab the slingshot. And we'll just go and, bust some cans off of a log and stuff like that and get our aim really good, because I was a kid, whatever. And they're like, yeah, cool. And when we went into the woods, mind you, it was broad daylight. We came out, it was dark. And apparently our parents had been looking for us for hours, and we were nowhere to be found.
Wow, that is so strange. I've never experienced anything like that myself, but I think that would be really interesting.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, when you go to the parts of the Appalachian Mountains where they don't have back dirt roads, they have fielded roads. Yeah.
I actually grew up in the Appalachian Mountains.
Yeah, West Virginia?
No, in Kentucky.
Oh, so you were at the okay. All right.
Yep, in eastern Kentucky.
Okay.
And lots of spooky activity there, for sure.
Oh yeah. The only state, though, that's actually in the deep depths of those hollers is West Virginia. Like, you have the hollers still, but they're like more on the edging of the mountainsides and stuff like that. If you want to deal with some spooky, go to West Virginia.
Oh yeah, actually.
Go on to Wrong Turn Road.
Yeah, I have a lot of family in West Virginia, and I grew up like in the tri-state area, right in the corner between like Ohio, West Virginia, and Kentucky. So
that makes sense. Okay.
Very familiar with West Virginia, and it's a very paranormally active place for sure.
I literally tell my friends, because I've taken a couple of my friends to our cabin out that way, right? And I was like, listen, when we get here, you do not open up the door for me, my mom, or my dad if you see someone knocking at the front door. It doesn't matter if it's in broad daylight or not. We're not going to be knocking on the front door. Do not open the door. I've told them, do not go out once it's dusk outside. Once the sun is no longer over the trees, you do not go outside. If you think you hear a woman screaming, a baby crying, or a man yelling, no the fuck you didn't. No, you didn't. We have rules in the Appalachians. You should know. You should know. We have rules.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you so much coming up and sharing that with us. And if you have any other stories that you want to share, feel free to come back up and hang out with us and listen to some stories if you want.
All right.
Alrighty. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks. All right, it's starting to pick up, guys. Keep tapping that screen. We got some people waiting. Let's get some guests up here. Hello, welcome.
Hey, I don't know if you remember me from last time.
I think I do. Yeah.
It was about a week ago, but I'll just tell it again for the people who didn't hear, and I'll tell a couple more. They're kind of quick stories. They're not too long, but one time, me and my friend from high school were walking down the street. It's about 8 or 9 o'clock at night, and like the sewer holes in the sidewalk that are like rectangle, we see this like shadow blob, like black mass come out of the sewer, start like wiggling out very slowly, and we stop, and there's like a red light, like a laser, like a small little dot on its head or whatever. And that's all that I remember, because we just took off running as fast as we can. We didn't want to stick around to see what it would do to us or anything. Like, it was just one of the most visually crazy things that I've ever seen. But another one is when I was like 6 years old, my mom tells me to go brush my teeth, and she sees this thing too, or she sees what happened. But as soon as I step in the bathroom, the comb that was sitting on the counter just like flies off the counter and hits me straight directly in the forehead. Like, it's just unbelievable, the stuff that I've had so many ghost experiences, but that's one of them. Another one is like me hearing my name whispered directly into my left ear. I was probably like 15 at the time, and we were actually watching Ghost Hunters, me and my parents, so I know I'm not like crazy because they heard it too. And also in California, I heard two hays in my ear whispered. It sounded like a little girl. And we go down to the hotel desk and ask if anything like happened at this hotel in the past, and I guess a little girl had passed away like a long time ago. It's just crazy stuff. Like, I don't know how spirits are able to speak in the physical when they don't have vocal cords. That's one of the main things I always think about. It's like it's crazy. It's almost impossible for me to comprehend it, but it's possible, I guess.
Yeah, it is strange, isn't it? There's so many things about the paranormal that just don't make any sense, but somehow they happen. People experience it. So,
Yeah, definitely.
well, I appreciate you coming up, and
Yeah, of
thank you for
course.
coming back a second time. So hopefully you hang out again with us tonight and listen to some stories.
Oh yeah, no problem.
Awesome, thank you.
Yep.
All right, guys, hop in the guest box if you have a spooky story you want to share with us. We do all of these topics here on the Holler Goblin. Hello, welcome.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming up.
I mean, I got quite a few stories. I'll make them quick, simple and quick, because
Okay.
I got so many. It's like crazy. My first one I was talking about in the comments. There's some railroad tracks in San Antonio, and they say that if you park your car on the tracks and you put baby powder on your bumper, and you just sit there, whether or not your car moves or not, you can get out. You can see the handprints on your bumper and the powder where the children try to move you across the tracks because the train hit the bus and unalived the children. I've done that and actually got out and seen the little fingerprints, scared the holy crap out of me. I left and said I'll never come back. I've never been back. It was just so freaking spooky. I remember one night that I was laying in bed and I was awake. I knew I was awake. I wasn't dreaming. And I seen like this figure, like almost like a gargoyle figure. I couldn't like it didn't have deep detail, but that's all I could compare it to. Had these big old flapping wings, and I just remember saying, "You can't be here, you don't belong here." And so I crawled down. I was on the top bunk of my bunk bed. I crawled down out of my bunk bed, and I walked it to the front door, and I seen it out, and I watched it fly out. And thank the Lord I never seen that again, but that scared the holy bejeebies out of me. And I remember one night I was at my grandmother's house, and my grandfather, my step-grandfather, had passed away, and I was laying on our couch, many times I had done before, and it was a long time ago. It was back in the day when the TV channel went off, you got static. Do you remember that? Like you would get like the different color bars, and then it would just go static.
Oh yeah.
Some people don't remember that. Some people are not old enough to remember that, but I'm old enough to remember that. Where the TV just went like the crinkle, like the black and white, like little cubes everywhere, and it was just static. And I remember I was laying there on my grandmother's couch, and the TV had went out, and then my grandfather that had passed a couple of months before, just was there on the TV, telling me there's nothing to worry about, everything's going to be all right. And, as quick as he was there, that's how quick he was gone. And I never told anybody about that because I thought I was like freaking crazy. Because I was probably like 10 years old. Who's going to listen to a 10-year-old? But it was just like, these are things that happen throughout my life that I just, I can't put aside and forget and say, oh, it was this or it was that. Well, no, there's really no explanation for it other than what it was. And, it's, I remember one time after my mom passed away, I was in my kitchen. And, they say that children and dogs can see things that we can't. And I was sitting at the kitchen table, and my dog was in the kitchen, and he was just looking up at the kitchen cabinets up there where all the cups and plates and all that were, and he was going completely insane. Like he saw something, He didn't act like that because he didn't see something. I know my dog, he seen something. And I was like, "What's going on, Roscoe?" I was like, "What's up?" And just kept on, just like pointing, like it's right there. It's almost like he was like, "Mama, you don't see that?" I got my ass up out of the house and I went to work an hour early. I ain't playing. I went to work an hour early. I said, "You know what? I'm gonna leave you sitting right here, seeing what you see." But I ain't about to, no. I'm not going to sit here with something I can't see. And you acting like that, you seeing something I can't see. So I was out. And my niece put a camera in the new house. You think you leave and you move and you don't take things with you? That's a lie. I'm in my new house over here. My niece puts a camera up in her house, and I wish I had the video that I could show you. She's never sent it to me. I keep on telling her to send it to me. She's like, "Oh, it's just lint or something in the air." No, it's not. You can see the orb, and you get to see it like going like backs. And I was like, lint don't do that. It trickles down, or where's the wind coming from to make it go backwards and forward? You ain't got a fan in your room. This orb is just like zipping around in the camera, and I'm like, you think that's lint? That's not lint, sweetheart. I don't know who it is. I don't know who it is, but it's not lint. But yeah, I've seen some crazy things. I've heard some crazy things, and
Yeah, it sounds like you've had a lot of experiences. Do you think maybe you're sensitive to the paranormal in some way?
I don't know. I used to have a closet in my home. I swear, I kid you not. We actually put a padlock on it. Every time you open the door, it seemed like every time the door was open, someone passed away. And before I moved out of that house, we had padlocked the door so nobody could open it. But I've been at funerals where I felt like I've been being touched. Look around, there's nobody there, and I just I don't know if I'm sensitive or what, but it's freaky. It's so freaky, especially when you turn around and you can't see it. I felt a breath on my neck, or I hear my mom sometimes call my name, and it's in my ear. And I look hoping to see her, but I know she ain't gonna be there. She's been gone since 2015, but I can hear her. I can just hear my name. I can hear her voice calling my name in my ear. And there's so many things, like, I could walk into a room and get chills, and I'll turn around and walk right back out and be like, I don't belong here. And I'll take my kids with me. I just, I'm not gonna say that I have like some kind of like sixth sense, or like I don't say that I'm psychic or anything like that. But I've always don't know what I credit it to, but I've always been able to read people. And when I say read people, I don't read people for what they've done or what they might do or anything like that, whether they're good or bad. I've just always been able to say, hey, I don't need to be around you. You give me that vibe. And I've always trusted my vibe or my intuition. And, it's like, okay, yeah, you're not for me. I don't need you around me. Or if I meet up with one of my kids' friends, I'll be like, nah, I don't think you need to be friends with him or her. They just don't seem like the right type of person. And I've never had that fail me, ever. The only times that it has ever failed me is when I don't listen to it. And that's happened a couple of times, and finally I put, the points together, and, but I don't think I'm sensitive to spirit or anything like that, not that I know of, but, yeah, I'm not going to reach out on a limb and say I'm that, but, it's just,
Yeah, I think a lot of
crazy.
people are. I think you could just be observant too. A lot of people come on and share stories, and they've had tons of experiences, and they feel like maybe they're sensitive to this stuff. But I think you can also just be an observant person, and it kind of sounds like maybe that's the case. And I think that's why I
Maybe,
personally have had, yeah.
you
So,
know,
well, very cool, very interesting stories.
yeah.
I love that you mentioned the one with the baby powder because I've always wanted to try that. We have a place here in
Yeah, I
Kentucky
mean,
called
it worked
Gravity
for me.
Hill.
I didn't know that there were different places in the world that had that. I just
Hmm.
happened to be in San Antonio one year with my child and his father, and he was like, "Hey, let's go here." And then there was another place, the uh, Aqueducts or something like that. There's another place over there. Nothing happened there, but The baby powder trick scared the crap out of me. When I got out and I seen the little fingers, and I wish I would have took a picture, but um, I just didn't. But I didn't even think I had a phone with me at that time. But when I tell you I got out of there and I've never been back and I will never go back, ever.
Yeah.
And then hearing the story behind it, I'm like, oh no, I'm done. You're not gonna get me back there.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be spooky. I've always wanted to try it myself, but maybe someday. Maybe I'll get to do that
Yeah,
soon.
and I think a lot of, I mean, I don't know for sure, but I went in it. I didn't go into it wanting it to happen. I went into it as a non-believer, and maybe it was like one of those things where we're going to show you what you can believe and what you can't believe. I never went into it wanting it to happen. I was like, yeah, this is fake. There's nothing to this. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go on and tickle your fancy, and we're going to do it. Just so I can show you that you don't know what you're talking about. Because I was like, yeah, a non-believer, a whole 100%, like, nothing's going to happen. But, I mean, when you see the little fingerprints, you're like, okay, well, take me away. Don't bring me back. And I'll never go back. I will never, ever go back to that place. That did it for me.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely understandable. Well, I
Yeah.
appreciate you so much sharing these stories with us. This is really
Oh, well, thank you
interesting.
for
And
having me up. It was my pleasure.
yeah, if you think of any more you want to share, feel free to come back and hopefully you'll hang out and listen to some stories with us
Yeah,
tonight.
I've been listening. They've been very intriguing. So,
Alrighty,
but
very
thanks for
cool.
having me up. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Very cool, guys. Let's keep it going. Let's keep tapping, get some people in here. Had a lot of good spooky stories tonight. It's been really good. Um, let's see. Guest box is open. Guys, if you're new here, we do spooky stories. We gather around this holler goblin right here and we tell spooky stories. That's what we're all about. We do paranormal, extraterrestrial, cryptid, unexplained. We do it all. Just weird stuff in general. Doesn't even have to be paranormal. We just want to hear the scariest thing that you've ever experienced. Your spookiest spooky story. Feel free to hit that little pink and blue button somewhere down here, maybe, possibly somewhere on the screen. Click that button, hop in the box, and come up and share your story with us. We want to hear your scariest spooky story. Let's see. Yeah, I had a feeling it was going to be like haunted house night. We've had so many cool haunted house stories. Amber, you have a few? Well, the guest box is open if anybody wants to come up. And guys, just in case you don't already know, we are here Sunday and Monday night from 11 p.m. Eastern to 2 a.m. Eastern. We do this every week, so we're here, gathering around the Holler Goblin, telling spooky stories. We also have a subscription to the channel here. If you click on the little gold star, you get instant access to the Discord. You also get a whole bunch of cool emojis. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but we've got Bigfoot, we've got Holly's throwing the devil out there in the comments. That's one of them, I think. I'm pretty sure. Maybe it's not. No, maybe that's a normal emoji. I don't even know at this point. We have so many emojis, it's hard to keep track. We do have a lizard man emoji, and that's what really matters. We also we do like some little mini live streams. We hang out in the Discord and stuff like that. We have a really good time. Next week, we're going to summon some demons over in the Discord. It's going to be awesome. I hope you all will be there to join in as I delve into the depths of whether or not I can get a Ouija board to work. I'm so envious of all the people who come up here and say they have like a really crazy Ouija board experience. I want to see it work for myself. I've tried a couple of times to conjure something with a Ouija board, never had any luck. So I'm going to try it again. And I'm going to live stream it to Discord and we're going to see what happens. And Maybe I might stream it to TikTok. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. If it seems like there's, any promising activity, anything worth watching, we might put it up over here. We're all going to get haunted together, basically. I know, Jesse Kate. I really just feel like I'm not going to be lucky enough to be that person who walks away with a cool Ouija board story. I do not have it yet, Holly. It's not here yet. Not here yet. It'll be here eventually. Tina, no, he did not, actually. He never did. Seeing lots of UFOs. That's another one of our cool little emojis. Plenty more stories. Yeah, guys, guest box is open. If anybody wants to come up and share a story, feel free to hop up here and tell us your spooky story. Yeah, Jesse, I totally get it. Like people who've had, a really intense experience with it would probably, not feel comfortable. But it's something I've got to see for myself. You know what I mean? Like, I've just got to see because I just can't wrap my mind around it. Oh, we might be having a little bit of a connection problem there. We'll give it just a second. Oh, there you are. Hello. Connection problem there. We'll give it just a second. Oh, there you are. Hello.
Hey, I was thinking, being a Memorial Day, I have a story my dad told me. He told me this about 2 or 3 times in my life. My dad, he was in the Marines over in Vietnam, 68. It was a really bad year for Americans over there. A lot of Americans got killed and wounded that year. It was really bad. I think it was the worst year, actually. But he went over there when he was 17. He was a Marine, infantryman, rifleman. So, and him being native, but he grew up in a boarding school. So he didn't grow up like out in the country or nothing. So he didn't have like no wood skills or anything because he grew up in a boarding school. And he was from Tulsa, Oklahoma, the city. He was a city boy. But anyway, so after graduation, him and a bunch of his buddies volunteered, went in the Marines. He got shipped over to Vietnam, rifleman. And his first night patrol, they went out. And of course, they have him walking point because he's native, right? So he walks point, and they set up an ambush for the enemy. And they say, you're gonna be second watch. He's like, all right. So his time comes, set up watch. Everybody's going to sleep. They're laying down in their ambush positions. And he climbs up in a tree and he's looking over this trail. And he's sitting there, and of course, it's like 100 degrees. It was summertime over there. And so it was like 100 plus degrees. He's heat exhausted. He's tired. Everybody's tired because they've been humping through the jungle all day. And now he's sitting up in the tree. It's cooling down. It's pretty much pitch black. And he's just sitting there on a branch, looking over this trail, listening. And of course, him being so tired, and he just got over to Vietnam, he's not used to the heat. He fell asleep. He fell asleep on ambush. Well, he's sleeping, and he feels somebody grab his right shoulder, like give it 2 hard squeezes. 1, 2, and right next to his ear, his right ear, he hears a woman say, calls his name. We'll say Joe. Says, Joe, wake up. They're here. It's clear as day like that. And his eyes pop wide open because he knows he's up in a tree. He's like, who's up here with me? Looks around, nobody there. It's just him. And he's looking down and he starts hearing branches breaking. Snap. 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 So he sets off the ambush. Everybody wakes up. They ambush him. Years later, he comes home from Vietnam. I should say a year later, he comes home from Vietnam. But he's sitting around the table one evening, smoking a cigarette. And my grandmother comes up to him and says, you know what? I'm glad you're home. And she says, I was praying for you real hard. And I had a dream. It was shortly after you got there. And I had a dream that you were up in a tree sleeping. And I looked, and there were some men coming up a trail. And I said, they're here. And I touched your shoulder. And my dad never told her about that dream until then. He never told anybody. And then he told her. And he said, when I was up in the tree, that happened. I felt someone grab my shoulder and squeeze it twice. And it said, Joe, they're here. That's crazy, huh?
Sounds like a little astral projection, possibly.
That's what I thought when I read about that years later. I was like, I wonder if that's what happened, but that's a true story. And I say, and even my dad said that. I said, my grandmother saved my dad. Saved him in Vietnam. But
Yeah, that's amazing.
that's a soldier story, I guess you could say, for Memorial Day.
Yeah.
But yeah, just
Very
wanted
cool.
to share that.
Well, we appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
I saw somebody in the comments was like goosebumps, and it's like, yeah, me too, for sure. Like, wow. And my first thought was astral projection, for sure. That's what it really sounded like, to me anyway. Hello, welcome.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. It's not a ghost story or anything like that. But when I was a kid, I was this was in the Bahamas because I was born there. So this is my earlier years. So I was a kid. I remember being in the kitchen, and I don't remember how old I was or anything like that, but something picked me up in midair and threw me against the fridge, and I was stuck there. I couldn't move. But it literally picked me up off the ground and, held me by whatever force it was against the refrigerator. And I don't remember anything after that or how I got down or anything, but I distinctly remember that happening. Uh, so what do you think that could have been that did that?
Well, you know, a lot of people come on and ask me for paranormal advice, and I never give paranormal advice. I think everybody should interpret it for themselves. I have no idea, but I've definitely heard a lot of stories like that. So, but as far as what it could be, no clue.
Well, I don't know. I thought about poltergeist activity. It could have been something like that. But yeah, anyway, just want to put that out there. Thanks for having me.
Very, yeah, thank you so much for coming up. You know, it's so strange to have people, you know, who have physical experiences because it's not, I feel like it's not that common to have physical experiences with the paranormal. Very weird. Hello, Druid.
Hola. Or should I say, G.H. Guive is more appropriate. Yeah. So so he said, I was kind of like half paying attention because I was kind of off. Yeah. So what exactly happened with the last person? He said he saw something or something moved, or what was it?
He said that something lifted him up, picked him up off the
Okay.
ground. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that could. No, I don't know. With poltergeists, they don't tend to have the enough strength to lift a person. Like most of the time, you hear about them, you know, lifting small objects or throwing small objects, but never a person. That would have to be something a bit more intense than a poltergeist.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, poltergeist activity is generally like mischief and
Yeah.
just, you know, that type of thing. So, um, but yeah, I try to avoid giving out paranormal advice when people say, "What do you think this is?" Like, what do you think it is? Because I think that's what's more important is what you think it is.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people will go straight to, well, maybe it's a demon, but even with that, the issue with the idea of demonic anything to take into account is the fact that first you're talking about damn cat. Uh, First you're talking about entities that may or may not be on the same, energy level as like a poltergeist or something of that nature. And then if you want to talk about, in Christian folklore and Abrahamic folklore, these larger entities, like Beelzebub or Lucifer or whatnot, they're not really going to spend their time focused on singular people. It seems like it would be counterproductive to focus on a specific person, to possess them and cause all of these events only to be easily removed by a priest or minister. I don't know, it seems kind of weird to me. But as far as something that has the power to throw someone like that, I mean, there's definitely creatures in different folklores that could, but I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, Tina says in the comments, I've had my ponytail pulled by a spirit. That is interesting. I kind of have a theory about stuff like that, and it's interesting that you say like by a resident that had passed away earlier. Um, I think residual activity can kind of manifest as a little bit physical if it's like an activity that somebody did habitually. And I have like a few experiences to base that off of, but that one probably doesn't sound residual. That one very well could just be, it is what it is. But we do have a
It takes
guest in
so much energy that they would have to be able to conjure up, pardon that particular wording, but they would have to find that they would either have to be something very powerful or something capable of creating enough energy to lift a person. So that's a real head scratcher.
Yeah, for sure. Let's bring up. Oh, they're gone. Come back, Albert. I think your name was Albert. If you're still out there and you want to re-request, feel free to hop back in the box. In the meantime, guys, we've got about a little more than an hour left in the show for tonight, I think. There is Albert. So you guys, if you have a story, now is the time to get in the box and share your spooky story. Hello, welcome. You're off the app. Hello.
Yeah, hi. I really like your ideas. For Druid, um, no, well, I think that like entities, they just it doesn't matter whether it's the highest or the lowest of them, and they will possess you. They'll have the time. They have nothing else to do, and they're just feeding off of you. And no, but that's very true. But I I just since you have so little time, I want to leave you with a joke because you said poltergeist, and then I love chicken wings, so um, and if I ever get possessed, it'll be from Poultrygeist.
Did you ever see that movie, Poultrygeist?
Oh yeah. Oh, the chicken movie. Yes.
Yeah, there's another good one called Thanksgiving as well. It's about a turkey on Thanksgiving. It's also a good one. It's a classic.
I also want to tell you that I've seen the other side. I've seen them, and and I'm still living in the same area, and they're, you know, I don't, people say, are you hallucinating? No. How am I hallucinating if these things, entities are saying they can see me? He can see us. He can see us. And it was really crazy. And this was after having so many panic attacks. I had a shapeshifter shadow figure, like uh, trying to, I don't know what it was trying to do to me, but it shapeshifted into one of my dogs. And then I was like, that's not one of my dogs. And I could see it was smoky, but it was a woman. And I still believe, you don't have to believe me, but I still believe that it's living near close to me. And I don't know why these things are just coming after me. I think I'm opening up my body because of either alcohol, and I did do
Oh, careful,
har-
careful with the substances. Don't say the
yeah,
names.
hardcore, yeah, hardcore things before. And this is where it gets weird. This is where it gets weird. I drove with it full intuition with these hardcore full intuition from Phoenix, Arizona to Flagstaff, and I ended up on a military base. And for whatever reason, I was shocked with a EMP, and it hurt. It hurt really bad. But when I was I knew it was some sort of like military station because I've been in the military, and they have stations like that. And it was in the woods, and it was they had snow, and these they were militarized, if you can understand me, militarized, and they were in the trees, and they were using cell phones to like either triangulate something or to shoot me with something. And it was weird. But then I got hit really bad while I was at a gas station, and I was about to go back home, but um, I I don't even know what it is like. And I saw them, and I can hear them, and they're in camouflage, and it wasn't even camouflage. It was like cognitive dissonance, if you know what I mean. Like they distorted your own cognitive mind, and it was really, and I can see them. I could completely see them, and they're wondering why I could see them. But yeah, I have way more. I have way more stories. But what I'm wondering is like, why is there militarized and why is there demonic? That's my real question.
Druid, I feel like this is a good one for you. That's a good
Oh, I'm
question for
biting
you.
my tongue.
I know you've got opinions. Come on now.
I do, but oh, I'm biting my tongue. My logical brain is just kind of like there's just red flags just kind of flashing right there. But no, it's supposed to be, okay. So here's my theory about that. First of all, people tend to go directly to demonic entities whenever they are discussing something that is evil pertaining to the supernatural. What people forget to realize is the fact that demons are only out of the Semitic folklore. There's other entities or spirits or whatever you want to call it, depending on locale, that are not necessarily demons. As a matter of fact, the word demon, which comes from daemon, would be more akin to what you would consider an angel, whereas angelos, which is also Greek, meant messenger. I could go on a whole wild thing about that whole thing, but so you. I'm not saying that that you didn't see what you saw. I'm just saying that it could have been something other than just something demonic, especially if it's in the United States or whatever, because there's other things out there than just Semitic evil spirits, especially here in the United States.
Right, right. But I felt like it was a technology that was,
Okay.
you know, and what I don't understand is like, if it's a technology that the government's having, and then are they fighting with the demonic? You know,
Maybe it was extraterrestrial.
it could have been. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, especially if it involves the American government or any government for that matter. I mean, it was only 2022 that the CIA finally was like, yeah, yeah. Was it yesterday or sorry, long day? Was it last year or 2022? I can't remember. It was either 2022 or 2023. The CIA finally admitted that UFOs are actually real. You can look it up and stuff. They finally said, yeah, these things actually exist.
Yeah, that was last year.
Was it? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, we can't just say that we can be on the fence about the idea of something otherworldly, because, they've admitted it. It exists. There's no, I don't know if this is real or not. It's literally, they have said flat out, yeah, we've basically been hiding it. This stuff is legit.
Right, right, right. But so I was having panic attacks in January 29th. I remember that day. And I was being mocked by some sort of other entities. I couldn't see them. I couldn't do anything with them. And when I was having panic attacks, I went to the hospital. They gave me fluids and they gave me sedatives a lot. And I started hallucinating. But I know they're not hallucinations because they have their own energy. And as I'm walking through where I live currently, I I'm walking and I see entities, and they're saying he can see us, he can see us. And not only that, I'm pretty sure it's one of my cats that just ran away. And this is how I know it was an hallucination, because he clung onto my shirt, pulled it down, and he wanted to be with me. And I love that little cat, but I'm pretty sure he was taken. I don't know whatever other side or whatever other place this is, but we live in parallel to this. Can you elaborate on this?
So you're discussing like alternate dimensions or alternate realities?
A real parallel universe that lives beside us and that we cannot see.
Yeah,
It's a
so that kind
different-
of goes into the multiverse theory, which, I mean, I can't say I don't believe in it. I mean, there's way too much evidence otherwise, but again, it's one of those things of without physical proof, it's kind of hard to, but it's not to say that it doesn't exist.
Yeah, but this is my physical proof and it's my testimony. My little kitty scratched me, clinging on, and he was transparent.
So, yeah, I don't know, you know. Yeah, what if you truly so? What I've basically stated in the past in regards to any spiritual occurrence, and mind you, again, this is coming from somebody that is very spiritual, is a polytheistic pagan practitioner of druidic, spirituality, believer in the ancient gods, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But when it comes to any type of spirituality or supernatural or anything like this, even for what I believe, it's anecdotal, without concrete evidence, it's hard to prove that it exists. That's not saying it doesn't exist. It's just saying that it's one of those things that's very difficult to give hard evidence as a whole.
Right. Yeah. No, I understand that part. You need some like other item or something to tell, but I'm the other item, and I'm here to testimony, to testify that there is another realm. And they get mad and they attack you because you can see them, and some of them get pulled in, some of them are demonic as crazy. And I really do believe that there is some sort of like military force that is battling, and they might have gotten mad at me just for knowing, because at the time I was in hardcore things, and they attacked me, but they let me live, and it's like, why would you let me live, unless it's just a slap on the wrist. Stay away from this side. It's not your job. And we got this. We don't need you,
Or any input?
Honestly, I'm going to be honest with you. I have no idea what's going on right now. But we appreciate you coming up, and
Thank you.
maybe
Thank you so
if
much.
you hang
No,
out
I
in
really
the comments,
appreciate it.
somebody's got some information for you. I don't know. But thanks. We appreciate you. Have a good night.
Exactly. I mean, my knowledge only goes to a certain extent, admittedly. So if I don't know something, I'll admit I don't know.
Yeah, no, I have no idea what's even happening. Slow connections tonight for some reason. TikTok is wild. Hello, thank you for waiting and welcome.
Oh yeah, thank you. See, I don't even know where to start, because I just have been I've had through so many. I've gone through so many trippy experiences. From just recently, I was hanging a quilt on my wall, and I was standing on a dresser, and then all of a sudden it was like like somebody slammed their fist down 3 times, like bam, bam, bam. And I was like, oh my, it like shook the whole dresser. And I was like, oh my goodness, that was, wow. I don't know if they didn't like me putting holes in the laughing plaster or something, but because I was using a staple gun, but that isn't even the scariest thing I've seen. I believe, honestly, I don't know if you know what graphene is. I believe I was dosed with graphene in October of 2018, which was really kind of when these things started. They say in the dictionary, in Webster's New Universal Unabridged Dictionary from 1983, which is the year I was born, it says in there that graphene is a way to make something without leaving a mark, as in the printing of, or as in the smelting of coins and making of weapons. But then nowadays, graphene is it's bioabsorptive biomimicry nanotechnology. And they say that graphene can make any surface a computer screen. And I had these people that were like, all of a sudden, just very strange things started happening to me. And I guess I could tell you a little bit, I was attacked through technology. So I do believe in a lot of, I have seen and felt firsthand what this guy was trying to, that last person was trying to illustrate. But basically I had PTSD. And so I was singing all day, every day to try to regulate my breathing. And I was on SoundCloud. And then one day I woke up and it was in January 2019. It was during the government shutdown in Trump's presidency. And every user profile was like coded all of a sudden across with a mix mash of my friends on Facebook and my friends on Instagram. But all the songs were really horrible remixes of music I'd already liked. And it went on for 3 days. I seriously I was about to like end my life. But I went to iTunes and I was like, Tupac's not going to do me like this, and I went on and I put on his album and it was totally different. And I freaked out. I couldn't even listen to what he was trying to tell me. I freaked out. And then I went to YouTube and I have like 3,000 songs on YouTube, but I kept on getting cornered. I kept on putting on shuffle and it kept on cornering me like lost on you, lost on you, lost on you with this song that was like, I'd never heard it before. I'd never seen this person before. It looked like Katie Lang or something. But anyway, then after those 3 days, I got on my it went away, except for the fact that then every profile picture of every musician was looking at me, but they were all covering one eyeball. And they were all like singing with me, laughing at me, laughing with me. It was like they were there for that whole month, the rest of that whole government shutdown. It was like the Illuminati, and they were putting like pictures on SoundCloud. You know how there's a picture in the background? They'd be like pictures of places around me. Like I lived on an island, and so they'd be like a picture of a pond that I drove by every day, or like, and they're like trying to get me to, at one point they had me convinced that there is like $200,000 at the bottom of this buoy in this pond. I kept on going to this house and knocking on the door to ask them if I could jump in their pond, but they were never home. So I never did. I was such a sissy, but I didn't want to be like trespassing or anything. And so it kind of, and it's like nobody would believe me. Nobody would just look at it. Like I had this new user profile pop up on my computer with this algorithm thing going in the activity log that really freaked me out. It was like calling me by name and saying that I was terminated, and I had this other profile in there that had really advanced mathematics, and I just wanted somebody else to look at the evidence, but nobody would. And like my ex-boyfriend came over, the one who I believe dosed me with the graphene, and he gave me this printout thing, and it was about ohm buds, which is about becoming like an impatient person, but you're outpatient. You're outpatient, but you're actually impatient, and you don't I guess you don't know, I had a little sticky note on it, like, for your records. I'm supposed to keep it for my records or whatever. But, and so that was like, I could feel, you know, it was like, that was right when they installed 5G. So you already know, I already knew about, like, the chemtrails, like, come down and they create, like, a psychic substrate in the atmosphere. And then through 5G, or maybe through that graphene, they're able to use, like, voice to skull communication. I don't know if you've heard of any voice to skull communication or directed energy weapons or all these things. They're actually, they might seem like they're paranormal.
It's kind of like you're just trying to say every
That
buzzword
sounds
on the
very
face of the
Q.
earth. What in the name of God was that?
That
You
was
guys.
a lot of trigger conspiracy theories that was very commonplace in the Q community.
Jesus fucking
Yeah,
Christ,
that
man.
was.
I
I'm
quit,
sorry,
guys. I'm
that's
done.
way
I'm
too
done.
conspiracy theory.
TikTok, I don't agree with any of this. I have no idea what's
No,
happening right
absolutely
now.
not.
Holy shit. Oh my god. You know, I don't even know. I'm just like, what do you do, guys? What do you do?
That was, yeah. I'll see. I have no issues believing in like the parallel universes and stuff like that because, you know, like I was telling the one that was up before her, you know, what it sounds like to me, and ironically enough, I've been rewatching Stranger Things, which was loosely based on the Montauk experiment. And, you know, I know a little bit in passing about it, how, you know, they were trying to time travel or open portals to different dimensions or whatnot. So I can agree that there has been experiments and studies done in the idea of alternate dimensions, you know, and I mean, for that record, I believe that it's possible that some of the spirits or some of the creatures, entities, whatever you want to call it, that I tend to work with are probably from other dimensions. I mean, I'm not, again, on the fence. I can't really say. I mean, we're all still trying to figure out whatever. But even with that in mind, you know, I don't know. It's an interesting.
I don't even know. Welcome, guest.
Hey, I'm back. So, two things. I do have a story, but to kind of bring everybody else back up to speed here, from previous times that I've talked, the activity in the school that I'm currently working in has been picking up more and more as of late. So, I've been just leaving my phone out to try and potentially record anything that might be picked up on a wavelength that I can't hear. So I just thought I'd let you all know what's going on there. However, as far as the story goes, this was a long time ago, back in my youth. So there is a very old, like, farmhouse in the town that I live in, off kind of near like the border of my township, and I was about 11, 12 at the time. And just to kind of give you an idea of what this farmhouse looks like, it's not like it's a standard 2-story, but they like removed all of the ground from the foundation, so even the foundation is exposed. And like whenever you would like drive by there at night, like there would always be a light on, like, and it wasn't like an electrical, like it's a candlelight, you can see like flickering going on. And like you would drive by there at night and be like, who's in there, what's going on? Well, a couple of me and like a couple of my friends in our youth, being stupid kids that we were like, oh well, let's go and look and find out what we can find out. And so we go in there and we're walking around, and as we're getting closer and closer to the light source, it's starting to dim and fade. And we finally get up there, and like there was clearly a candle that was lit because there was faint traces of smoke from the candle that it had just been lit, which it was like, okay, what's going on here? Like, was there someone here? But in all reality, like, we looked around, we couldn't find anyone. So as we were getting ready to like walk out, I was the last one out, and as I kind of started to close the door, the light started to flicker back on again. And I'm sitting here thinking, okay, well, this can't be real. Like, this isn't happening. I open the door again, and the light goes out. So I don't know if it was someone just playing with maybe a candle that may have been connected to some kind of electrical device or what, but that wasn't the eerie part about that farmhouse, because as soon as we all got back down to the basement level where we entered, there was a faint, like, mist like fog in the basement, in just the basement. There wasn't like fog on the ground as soon as you got outside. It was just all in the basement, and it was just a very eerie experience. And as an adult now, I have not been back to this place. I mean, I probably should go back at some point, but now as an adult, like it makes me wonder, like, I want to see if that candle's still there or not, you know?
It sounds almost, at least with the candle, it sounds almost like a form of pyromancy, which, you know, the idea that you can use your own chi or your own pranic energy to basically manipulate small things like a candle flame or something like that.
No, it's a possibility. And to Barbary in the comments, like, there was no smell of gas or anything like that. It was just your standard smell of a burnt candle.
Druid, anything?
Yeah, I mean, that's probably my best guess, is possibly, I, I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, thank you guys for the gifts, by the way. I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not familiar with anything like that. Somebody in the comments said methane a minute ago. Bad gas, Raven says. I don't know.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know. Like, this farmhouse is still up, and the area that we live in, it's like there have been a lot of major high wind storms, and you would think with like an old farmhouse like this that there would have been some damage, but like this thing is still standing strong. So I mean, like I said, as I am an adult now, I might go back and just try and explore and see what else I can come up with. So
Is it like registered as a historical site?
I don't think it's registered as a historical site, but it's now on a property that is owned by a business. Originally, when we went there, it was just an abandoned building, like, of the farm that was owned. Like, there was no business attached to it. So I mean, like, I would have to actually go and talk to the owners of the business now to make sure that it'd be okay to go on the property at late at night, so that way, like, I'm not trespassing or anything.
I mean, I don't see why you couldn't. I mean, I suppose you would have to give them a valid enough reason as to why you would want to look. And I don't know if, hey, I think this is haunted, necessarily is going to. But then again, it depends on states too. You know, you'd have to look up the legality and what's considered trespassing and what isn't. But it would be something to look into. I mean, if it's possible to actually go back and check it out, why not?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, like, like I said, it's farmland too that's out in that general direction. So I mean, I don't know how many times I've come across like old barns where it's just kind of giving off that really creepy, eerie vibe. Like there are a couple other barns in the area that I've been to, and during the witching hour even, and I've seen like strange things. Like I wouldn't necessarily say it was a shadow person per se, but I've seen like very inhuman hand, like an inhuman hand kind of grab the door and just kind of wrap its fingers around like you would see like in movies, but like it was
Well, like a
not.
interdimensional shadow creature, basically.
Yeah, something along
Yeah.
those lines.
The Shadow Men are another good. I wouldn't necessarily say solid, but they do lend a lot of credence to the idea that there's more than just the first, second, and third dimension, because they have to come from somewhere, right?
Yeah, and I don't know if you saw what I had mentioned in the comments to Albert about his like discussion with the military and all, but to what it sounded like to me, he could have potentially crossed the veil because I mean, if he saw his cat like and like his cat wasn't wanting to let him go, and things are saying that they're being seen, it's quite possibly he could have like stepped behind the veil for a brief moment.
And again, I mean, it's one of those things that logically my brain says it doesn't make sense, but then my spiritual side is like, well, most of the mythologies that I know of through the crossing of the veil, especially in Ireland, they believe that there's 3 different ways to cross the veil to go to the other world, where you find the afterlife, if you were. You can travel there without passing on, and the 3 are through the fog / mist, underground, and across the Western Sea. So, yeah.
I've also heard that it's potentially possible to go behind the veil through astral projection as well, because technically you're not within your body at the same time too.
Yeah, I've heard that as well. That's one thing I will openly admit I've never had good luck with, is astral projection.
It's difficult to pull off. You have to be in like the most serene state. Like it's like cultivating. It's like cultivation and like ascension in a sense.
Yeah, and I know it's possible. It's just when you have a very neurodivergent, ADHD, anxious brain, sometimes it's very difficult to center your thoughts to the point where you can just get to that level of being able to leave your own self.
Well, we all have our own challenges.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Was there anything else you want to share? We do have some people waiting, so I'm going to
Nope,
try to get a
I'm
few more.
good. I just want to come up, share my 2 cents, and just kind of go from there. And I know we only got about a half hour left, so I'll drop on out of here so we can get other people in.
Alrighty, well, thank you so much for coming up.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Barbie, I see you down there in the comments. You've been up here a bunch of times. Are you on a different account tonight? Because I know you have followers on that one account, because you come up here before and told stories. And also, I recently learned that if you are outside of the U.S., you don't have to even have 200 in some places. I don't know if you guys know that.
Ooh. I might have to tell my person and see if I can't convince them to make a TikTok so they can tell some of their stories.
What's up?
They live in a location of... Oh.
Yeah, we were just talking. Do you have a spooky story for us?
Well, last Friday, all right. First of all, I'm an ex-fucking Marine, right? Pardon my French. But,
yeah, you do have to watch your language here because we have to...
Okay, I got you. I got you. I'm an ex-Marine. And something was getting after my damn hogs and stuff. I live in southern Oklahoma, by the way. I'm country boy. And something, I pumped it twice with an M14 in the chest and it run off hollering. I mean, and I tracked it and tracked it. I've tracked the blood and tracked it. And a buddy of mine is a lieutenant for a game warden. He said he's never seen tracks like this before. And we tracked it, and it just vanished. It's like he went up in the fucking tree, or in the trees. It's like some predator crap, you know? I'm not joking at all. I mean, whatever it was a werewolf-like creature. That's what I'll say. That's what it was. I mean, I don't know how else to explain it. I mean, I've been through some shit, and something was getting after my hogs out there, and my dogs were going crazy. Cash right here, he's still he won't leave my side. They just sit out there and look at the trees out there. I live out where, I live out in the boondocks. Country boy. And my wife, she heard me pop them 2 rounds off, and I know I pumped it right in the chest twice, hard. And because I followed the blood tracks. I mean, this is insane. Whatever it is, it's hurting. I hope. I don't know what I swear to God it was a werewolf. I don't know how else to explain it.
Can you describe what it looked like?
It was like kind of silver with black stripes and shit, but it was just like a big ass German Shepherd, like my dog right here. But walking on fucking 2 legs.
I don't know if they've reached that far, but it almost like gut instinct was like maybe it's like a chupacabra type thing.
Whatever this thing. No, it wasn't a bear. It wasn't, dude.
I didn't say.
He didn't say bear.
I said
he
chupacabra.
Yeah, you try to listen.
Whatever it was
communicate
mean
with you, but you're not listening to what we're saying. He didn't say.
I'm
bear.
sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, guys. I mean, it still bugs me. I don't want to shoot somebody in a suit, but
yeah. So we do get.
Why would they be all the way out here? Well, if they were in a suit, if they're in a damn werewolf suit, then they got punked twice in the chest with the damn M14. I don't.
Cat mama, it's
man, I've seen some crazy crap. I'm sorry, guys. I believe it, dude. I'm an avid fisherman. I go off the grid fishing and stuff here in southern Oklahoma. Like river. I'll go to the river myself and, just go spend the weekend. Just go catfishing. And you see all kinds of crap around here. It's insane.
Mm-hmm.
I like doing that stuff. I mean, it's just fun, but I've been to hell and back, and I don't know what that was Friday night, but
yeah,
me,
so I was trying to tell
it was
you
a werewolf to me. It had to have been. I don't know. Some bitch was about 7 foot tall. It hollered loud when I hollered. I pumped it off my back porch.
Sorry,
I ain't kidding you. It let off a scream. My dog. I am not even joking. I wish I had. I didn't have time to get my phone to get a recording of it, but I was actually listening to Slipknot and chugging a beer, but 'Cause I
TJ,
knew
are
I
you
heard
sure about
something. I was
that?
like, what the hell is that? But
Any thoughts, Druid?
I don't know. Yeah, I went looking, and like, no shit. I'm not even
I don't know
joking.
if
A
I can
buddy of mine, he's a
let one in.
lieutenant through Oklahoma Fish and Game, and he come out and we took 4-wheelers out and Rager.
Okay, so
We tracked it for probably 600 yards. I got a big ass property.
I will basically go by what I said before. Of it sounds like it might have possibly been something like a chupacabra, but I don't know necessarily if they reach as far north as southern Oklahoma. I do know that they have been supposedly sighted in Texas, but it was not a werewolf.
I got a big ass tattoo of a werewolf on my back. I'm actually part of the werewolf. Never mind, I can't really say that, but I'm ex-Marines, so I just hope I didn't pump a tweaker in a ghillie suit, you know. We looked, but these tracks were different, dude. It was dogs. I mean, it was a big ass dog, whatever it was. Skinwalkers, man. There's a bunch of old like Indian stuff around, like a lot, all around our place, and there is no telling. I've seen some shit coming down some of these highways I can't explain. I just don't. I live out in the woods. I mean, old school Oklahoma, down on the river. It's insane, guys. I mean, it's beautiful, but it ain't nothing that surprises me anymore. I don't care. I just don't want my kids getting hurt, my dog, whatever it is. I'll sit on the back porch, drink a cold beer, sit in the rocking chair, and then 14. Spotlight. I might bust out my damn razor though, and maybe I do have an M240 and a couple ARs, AK. You know.
I would say to possibly do some research into what the chupacabra is before going straight to a lycanthropy, because lycanthropy tends to be more of a European cryptid, which in the original mythos in regards to them, they weren't actually people that could transform into wolves so much as people that behaved like beasts.
I do actually have a silver bullet, 357.
Yeah, I have one in my jewelry box as well.
I do. Holy shit. Shit, I'm going to load that up in my damn Python. Cash? Ah, shit. No, never mind.
Sin, before you get Sarah Strikes, we told you like numerous times.
Well, what? Isn't that what you use to kill a werewolf? Silver? I'll go hunt this bitch down right now.
It's a werewolf. On top of that, the silver bullet thing comes from European folklore. The idea that because silver has connotations with the moon and purity and whatnot, they tended to believe that silver was able to dispatch a werewolf, or in some respects, even vampires.
Well, that'd work too. What about a flamethrower? I do have one of those too. I got a fucking belt-fed machine gun too.
You know what? I'm sure that would work perfectly.
Man, you gotta go. You gotta go. We can talk about this shit on TikTok. You gotta go.
Y'all want to go fishing and come
No,
to
you're
Southern
done
Nope.
Oklahoma?
tonight. Enough. You already talking about pew pews. You're gonna get Sarah struck.
Hell
You're gonna
no. I'm
arrest
going to
her.
go hunt
Like,
this
it's
son of a bitch.
ridiculous.
And
You
whatever
don't
the
listen
fuck
to
it was,
nobody, and you're
I'm getting
cussing.
after it. I am getting after it. I'm going to hunt whatever that was for real, guys. Thank
May the odds be ever in your favor, dude. I don't know. You guys, I quit. I'm done.
Yeah, that
What
Chris,
that
whatever
is
was
your name
going?
is it
something.
so hard for you to listen to somebody? Is it like your generation or something? I know your generation don't listen to nobody. Y'all just want to hear yourselves talk. I'm sorry, Sarah. Everyone's getting me mad Aggie tonight. I don't want you to get struck. We've already had a couple of trolls. I'm trying to not block everyone off the damn screen.
Kat, I would
Because I
give you the
love
biggest hug right now if I could.
trying to keep
Cat
this a
Mama,
safe space
it's
for
fine.
everyone
I
to tell their
told you. I
paranormal
told you, Cat
stories.
Mama, you're the boss. I need an adult to supervise me. You're my adult, so.
Like, I don't want you to get struck. We had issues last night. I don't understand why you gotta talk over, like, bro, enough. And you kept cussing and cussing and cussing. I can't. I don't have the patience for it. I'm middle aged. Now, if anyone has a story, a paranormal story, please come up and join. I promise I won't go off on you if you just tell us a spooky story. But you gotta understand, and we keep telling you guys, you have to watch what you say because the bots on TikTok are very sensitive, and Sarah will get struck. We already had issues with mass reporting yesterday, and that's why we had so many issues when we were getting on the live. You gotta try and keep the cussing to a minimum, and any like things that are trigger words, you gotta try and say something differently, like unalived or passed away or pew pew. Is that so hard? Thank you. I'm coming out of my mom mode. I'm not even a mom, and I'm going into mom mode.
You have
Thank you,
cats, so
Cat
therefore
Mama.
you're a mother.
Cat Mama is my TikTok mom. So, all right, guys, we got. I don't even know what's going on anymore.
I'll still reiterate the fact that I believe that what he may have encountered, if in fact it was some type of supernatural creature, my gut immediately said that it was possibly Chupacabra.
Yeah, I mean, I actually wanted to ask him some stuff about it. I was trying to tell him. I don't know if he's still here or where he went back to space. But I was trying to tell him we get a lot of Dogman reports. It's a thing. It happens apparently. Um, Barbie, PEW. It's code for words we're not really supposed to say. And by the way, TikTok, educational purposes only. We're a storytelling community. The hosts do not necessarily agree with the views of the guests. All right, let's get. We had somebody who has been waiting. Thank you, Cat Mama. Christina has been waiting a terribly long time. I hope she's still with us. She may not be.
I'm here.
Welcome.
Hi there. That was interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was like, okay, I have to hope I'm not gonna laugh here because I was busting up. But anyway, yeah, I've got actually a few stories, but I've got like a couple that I can tell y'all. Um, at one point in my life and with my job, I was a personal trainer, and my very first client I had trained her for a few years, and her mom ended up having to come live with her here in Texas, and because she had early stages of dementia, and so she comes to live with her, and then her daughter, the lady I was training, we kind of became friends, and because we've known each other for a while, and she used to work for James Avery, and she was a manager, and she used to have to go like up to the hill country and different places. She had to travel to go to meetings and stuff because she was a manager, and she was like, my mom can't stay alone in the house. And I was like, okay, well, I can come over, like, would you like me to come visit her and stuff? She used to have like these meetings all day, and she'd be gone, and she wasn't spending the night yet until later on. And that got very interesting. But anyway, I would come over to her house and I would just hang out with her mom, and I would always stay downstairs because, like I would just stay over, I would never stay the night, but I would just, just hang out with her, feed her lunch, give her meds and stuff like that. And I would, always be downstairs. And by the way, I'm a sensitive, or whatever you want to call it, I'm an empath. And I found that out.
Clairsentient?
Huh?
Clairsentient?
Yeah, well, let me tell you like what this is what happened. So she started asking me like, "Well, can you start staying the night? Because I have to, stay over out in different cities. I have to go to these manager meetings." And I said, "Yeah, sure. I don't have a problem with that." And so the very first time she had a two-story, and it was an older home. And the very first time walked up the stairs, the minute I started walking up the stairs, it felt very heavy, like right in the middle of the stairs. Like when I got halfway up, I was like, God, why, like I remembered it, but I didn't I just blew it off, like I was like, why? It felt very heavy, like I couldn't breathe. And I was like, what was that? Like that's weird. So I would stay in her daughter's room. She had a really weird house because it was like you'd go upstairs and it was a very, very long hallway. And then they had like several bedrooms up there. And I never liked the way it felt up there. Like I felt like there was something there, like the energy, whatever it was. But I never felt it downstairs. So I started staying the night and I never said anything to her until I started having very bad like nightmares of people breaking into a house. And we're talking like back in the old days where the men were coming into the house with burning sticks, like, and wanting to burn the house down and unalive people in there, all that stuff. So, I mean, I was having really bad nightmares, and then I just kept, feeling uneasy. So I started staying downstairs on the couch. And one day I just had to tell her, I said, "Do you have ghosts in your house?" Like, because I felt like a male presence upstairs, and I was like, I knew there was something going on, and I was really weird thing is I'm so into the paranormal. And I couldn't believe, like I felt that, and I felt somebody upstairs with me, so I was really spooked out. And I told her, I said, is your house haunted? And she was like, come outside with me. And I was like, oh my God. She didn't even want her mom to hear the story because her mom was still, I mean, she was just in the beginning stages of dementia. So she was still aware of everything going on and whatever we would say. So we went outside, and she said, when we first bought this house, I was sitting in the living room watching TV, and she was facing the stairs, and she said she saw a little boy sitting in the middle of the stairs, and then it just disappeared. And I'm like, you're kidding me. And I wanted to like get the deed on her house and everything and find out, the whole backstory of that house. But it was just crazy that was the first feeling I felt, was right in the middle of the stairs, like where that kid had sat, like she saw the ghost. It was really crazy. But that was, one thing. But did you want to say something, Jude?
Oh no, sorry. I was just you had mentioned that you had.
Well, I feel like I'm an empath because, I mean, another story I have is this is a real quick one. I was dating this guy, and we were dating for a while, and he invited me over to his house for the very first time. And before we went into his house, he said, "I have to tell you something. My house is haunted. The man who lived in this house before I bought it passed away in this house." And I'm like, okay. And it didn't. I'm into the paranormal, so I'm like, oh, cool, a haunted house. The man that lived here before is here. Maybe I'll see him, because I've never been able to see any spirits ever in my entire life, but I could feel them. So that's why I guess an empath, like, yeah, okay, there you go. And but they don't. I don't know. I read or something that they don't let me see them or something. I don't know. It's really weird. Like I've always tried to open myself up to it, but I've never seen any. But anyway, so we go in the house, and I said, wait, don't tell me where he passed away. Okay. Don't tell me where, I want to see if I know where he, and I'll guess. So he shows me all the rooms, and we're going through the house, and we go through this little middle room where it's attached to the kitchen, and then there's no hallway. It's just the dining room, the kitchen, and there's like doors, like you just, no doors, but doorways. And you walk through, and there's this little study. And I didn't feel anything in the house except for in that little study. Like it's like a little workroom. It's a very small room. It's like an in-between room or something. And we went through the whole house, and he said, "So where do you think, he passed at?" I said, "Come here." And I took him right to the little study, and I said, he left here. He was in here, and he said he was right in that corner. And I'm like, "Oh my God," I could not believe that I couldn't believe that I guessed that. Like, I was just like, this is crazy. I've got something, I can feel something, whatever.
So
But
I'm kind of curious, and this is going to sound like kind of like random questions or
mhm.
whatnot, but there is reasons behind this.
Mhm.
First of all, and don't take this as any offense or anything like
Yeah.
that. It's just kind of to incorporate into this particular questioning. Would you identify yourself as neurodivergent?
What is that?
So basically, people that are neurodivergent, they either have things like autism or ADD, ADHD,
I don't think
OCD.
so. I've
Okay.
never been medically diagnosed with
Mhm.
any of that. Um, but I didn't I mean, I could tell you so many stories, like
Yeah.
stories with angels, stories with I should have not, lived in certain times, and I literally have felt like a hand on my chest. It's a kind of a long story, but like when I'm driving and a car goes through the light, and kind of those things, like weird things have happened in my life. And I've seen an Archangel Michael at my bedside. Like and I didn't even know who all the archangels were until I looked them up after that happened, because it was just the most unbelievable experience in my life. And I don't tell people that story
Yeah.
because I don't want to freak anybody out.
So the reason I was asking is because I've noticed a lot of people that tend to be part of the spiritual community who
Hmm.
do have certain types of abilities, especially if you have that empathic nature,
Yeah.
clairsentience, and so forth and so on. They tend to kind of have certain um, psychological awareness that's different than that of other people.
Hmm.
So that's why I was like, oh, maybe she's also part of the,
Well, and what's weird is over the years, I never really paid, I wasn't open to it because I didn't realize what was going on. And then I started just putting all the pieces together, and I was like, what is going on? Okay, so I'm an empath. And so I don't know. I mean, I just researched it, or, talked to other people. I mean, I even have a story, like the apartment that I live in now. It's supposedly haunted, but I don't allow them in. Like there's a man and this is so weird, but I made friends with my neighbor right next door to me. And this was years ago. I've been here 11 years. And one night I was just like, it was so weird. I felt like somebody was in my apartment with me. I was in bed already and just looking at my phone, and I was like, something, I did not feel right. I mean, I literally had to come in the living room and turn all the lights on and stuff so I could sleep because I was so uneasy. I even knew what the guy looked like. And what's really crazy is the girl that lived next door to me, we became really good friends, and she would come over for dinner, and I would cook her dinner, and we just hang out and drink wine. And she told me one night, she said, "I have to tell you something." I said, "What?" And she said, "My apartment's haunted." And I'm like, "Really?" And I never said anything about this one night experience I had. And it only happened one night. And I'm like, "You're not allowed here. You got to go." Like I would say it out loud because I did not like the way I felt. And in my mind, I knew what this guy looked like. I said, "Can you describe him to me?" Because I asked her, I said, "Is it a man? Is it a woman?" She said, "It's a man." And I said, "Tell me what he looks like." She said, "He wears period clothing, with the ruffles and everything, and he has long black hair." And I'm like, "That's the guy. How is this possible?" Like, it really freaked me out. And we were just so stunned. Like, I was like, he was in my apartment. Because how would I know what he looked like? And she was just describing this guy. Like, exactly the guy I saw in my mind. I didn't literally see him. Like I told you, I could never see any ghosts. Like, I've never have. But I knew what he looked like in my mind. Like, it's weird.
I'd say, I mean, because I do feel like what you're saying is genuine. So I'd say, my best advice is just to practice and hone those skills. And,
Yeah, I've really become
yeah.
very open to it. Like I mean, I have all kinds of things happen. Like you're talking like, me and my friend go do a staycation. We're at the hotel. I go to the back of the car to get the suitcases and there's two dimes on the ground. That's significant to me. And I gave her one dime. I took the other one. I still have that dime because I don't like I have had feathers, like white feathers in my apartment or in my home. And I keep them. And I don't know, I'm like, we don't have birds that have white feathers around here. Like I've found two feathers and I keep all that stuff because I think it's, and I it's a positive thing. It's not a negative thing, in my life, but
Feathers do tend to have a very specific meaning. What is the name of that? I have to look it up. I'm actually,
I don't want to take up all this time. I'm sorry.
what is the name of it? There's a specific augury. That's what it's called. Augury is where if you find certain patterns in the flights of birds, or if you find certain patterns in the colors of feathers. I wanted to see if I could find what white means.
I had, yeah, it was white. I still have the feather. I mean, I have it in a little box, like a little trinket box. And I kept the dime. Um, Trying to think of, there's so many things that have like just happened to me, but it's so weird. I mean, it started with the paranormal. Like, well, to me, the angels actually started first. And I even had my uncle passed away. He lives in another state up in Kansas. He did, and he had a stroke, and he died on August 5 of 2020. On August 11 of 2020, one of my best friends unalived himself. And I had woke up, this was already after my friend had left, and I woke up in my bed and I was so sad and I was thinking about both of them because I just lost both of them. And I had this scarf that was hanging over my door, like at the top of the door. And I had no draft. I mean, my room is in the back and I had no draft or nothing. Like it wasn't my ceiling fan. And it was as if somebody put their hand underneath the scarf and lifted it way up and then it just fell down. Like it just kind of slowly went down. And I was like, okay, one of them was just here. I mean,
Okay, so it's augury is a very broad term. The actual term for like in regards to birds and whatnot is called ornithomancy. I couldn't find anything in regards here to pure white, but I've seen brown and white
well,
and
mine
black
are,
and white and
I
gray
don't
and
think they're all white. I think they're like, uh, let me see if I have them. Sorry.
okay.
Let me see if I can, where's that? Oh, the box is right here. Let me see what they look like. Oh, there's a black feather and I have a white feather it's not real white, but it's white. Like it's
Okay.
not, but I have a black one in here too that I found, a full black feather.
Those, according to what I'm reading, tend to either represent unaliving or bad news.
Oh God, and I've saved it.
Well, again, you have to
But
remember
to
that
me,
it
it
really
was
depends
positive.
on different cultures as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
For example, for me, if I was to find a black feather, I would see it as an omen or a gift from my matron, because I worship the Morrigan, and she has ties with ravens and crows. So again, I think it's really depends on personal. You're going pretty much by folklore here, is what it is.
Yeah. But crazy. I mean, I think the most crazy thing in my whole life was, and I was not in my own bed. I was with my boyfriend at the time at his place, and Archangel Michael visited me, and it was I mean, it was the most unreal, I mean, the most beautiful thing that has ever happened to me. Like, out of body experience, the whole thing. And I don't know why he visited me. And I've always tried to make it a positive thing, you know, not like, oh, it was a bad thing, or because he's a protector. So he could have been protecting me from this guy. I don't know. Or whatever else, because I don't have bad in my life. You know, I'm very healthy. All my years of my life, you know, I've had a, you know, great upbringing, everything. So, you know, it's crazy that I saw him. It was really strange. Have you
Well,
lost
we
your
really appreciate you coming up here.
Thank you. Sorry, I didn't mean to
There's
take up so much
actually
time.
there's actually somebody in the comments. His name's Frank, and I
Mhm.
think you two probably would have a lot to talk about on this
Oh, he
subject.
asked, yeah, he asked me
Yeah.
to,
So,
okay.
but I usually end the live at 2. I'm gonna try to squeeze in one more guest, but we appreciate you, and
Thank
hopefully
you
you
so
come back
much.
and
Yeah,
yeah,
and
thank you
look
so
up
much.
ornithomancy if you get a chance.
Or
I'll
nymphomancy.
type it out for you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Alrighty, thank you so much. Have a good night.
Thank you. You too.
All right, guys, we are in overtime officially. Kristen has been waiting a tremendously long time. We're going to take one more guest and we're going to call it for the night because I'm tired. It's been a wild night. It was wackadoodle night. In case you guys didn't know, if you just came in, it was wackadoodle night. Um, Hello, welcome. Hello, Kristen. Are you with us? Kristen, I'm not sure what's going on with your audio. I'm going to drop you out. Come right back, okay? Wow, that was wild.
That
Holy
sounded
cow.
like she might have been in a car or something driving.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what was going on there. I'll give her just a second to come back because she has been waiting for a very long time. And if she doesn't come back, we're going to go ahead and call it for the night because it is after 2 now. So, Kristen, if you want to try to re-request, do it quickly, please. Guys, this was a crazy night. Just real quick before we end, we are here Sunday and Monday night. She stepped into the light. Yeah, I think she got raptured, guys. So we're here Sunday and Monday night, 11 p.m. Eastern to 2 a.m. It's always slow from 11 to midnight. So if we did not get to you tonight, please come back next Sunday. Be here at 11. We don't ever have anybody. It's very slow for the first hour. Well, not ever. I mean, we do have people, but it's usually pretty slow for the first hour. So Kristen hasn't come back. Guys, if you're waiting, I'm sorry. We're going to have to call it for the night. It's been a really long night. We had a crazy night. There is a subscription. Okay, Kristen is back. We do have a subscription here. I was just going to tell you real quick. It gives you instant access to the Discord. Kristen.
Hey, sorry about that. I don't know what happened.
Oh, that's fine. It happens sometimes here on TikTok.
Yeah.
You never know.
But that level has never happened. And I usually come on people's lives, so that was bonkers. Anywho, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I usually watch you, like ghost watch you, like, you know, because I come across your chat while I'm scrolling, and then, you know, but I usually work graveyards, so, you know, and where I'm at, I'm usually by myself with no one around in the dark, you know, so it's kind of like I can listen for so much, but then I gotta like kind of change the channel, right? Because then it's like it's getting a little too creepy. Anywho, I wanted to share something since you had people that you guys know I think more about this kind of stuff than I do. But I'll tell you what I experienced. Like, I don't really share this with many people because I still don't know what it was, but all I could chalk it up to was like an outer body experience. And it happened when I was about 3 or 4. And like, so it's going to be weird. So there's bits and pieces, right? So I remember being in my bedroom asleep and like looking out of the room, and I could see the stars. And I thought I like fell asleep, but then something kind of like bugged me, like, you know, like a feeling like of annoyance kind of like made me wake up. And I looked out my window, and there was a boy in pajamas, like hovering outside my window. So as I kind of like looked around the room, I realized I wasn't in my bedroom anymore, but I was in a hospital room. And the window that he was outside of was actually the hospital window to this room that I was in. And I remember being like floating up near the ceiling because I was looking down at the room. And then it was like I got this feeling that he wanted to come in, but I kind of got this bad feeling about him anyway, because there was something about him I just didn't like. And I remember thinking like somebody's got to close this window. And then the next thing I know, the nurse walked past the bed I was hovering next to, and closed the window. And then the look on the boy's face was really angry. Like he was angry at me, as if I caused that lady to come in and close the window. Like, I don't know if he had a plan, but I like stepped in the way of his plan. And then I was so like distraught about not being in my own bedroom that it felt like I went back to sleep. And then I kind of like woke up, like I sat up straight, and I was back in my bedroom. And there he was outside my bedroom, hovering with that same pissed off look on his face. And at the time, I chalked it up to a bad dream. But that's happened to me with this same boy a couple other times, always involving a hospital bed. So I don't know if he was like supposed to be like coming for these people, or if maybe he was like trying to find a body to like take over, and I keep thwarting whatever his plan is. I keep like putting a barrier in front of him.
Yeah,
And
that's really strange.
Yeah, I don't
The
know.
closed window thing kind of makes me think of there's an old superstition about opening a window when people go to pass.
Yeah.
A lot of places, a lot of hospitals and stuff will do that. I don't know if that would factor in this circumstance, but
yeah, because it was the opposite. It was like I thought like, wow, so we gotta close this window, not to let him in. And then the nurse came in and closed the window.
It's usually the all the windows and also the doors to basically to give the spirit a an easing into the next life.
Uh-huh. So other paranormal things that I've experienced were so I used to, when I was younger, wake up, and I say, yeah, I was a little older than 3 or 4. I was probably closer to like 9, 11, that age. And I used to again, I would have that feeling of annoyance, you know, that something like a feeling of annoyance, and wake up and there'd be people on my bed, standing next to my bed, like all kinds of crazy stuff. It was scary. And so I would be like screaming and panic, and my parents just chalked it up to night terrors. But I wish that they had got somebody for me, because my parents weren't really up to snuff. They didn't really believe in the paranormal. And, which was weird because my mom was raised Catholic and my dad was Jehovah Witness. So it's like, I don't know. So, but I used to feel like I'd be asleep. They always come at me when I'm sleeping. I'd be asleep and I would feel like somebody was arguing, or like I could hear it like in the distance, like people were arguing, but I couldn't make out what they were saying. It was just that muffle of argue and that instant tension of like anger, like when people are fighting and you kind of like embody their anger and suddenly now you're angry too for like whatever reason. And but I would wake up like people were, it would feel that there would be so much tension in the room that it would feel like furniture was being thrown around. But when I would like look around, the room was the way it was supposed to look. But I was like, what is this? Like, why do I like, I don't know. It hasn't happened to me in a while because it used to happen a lot when I was younger. But, I don't know if you want to call it manifestation, but, being raised in a predominantly Christian home, like, I would just pray it, because we're taught that, and the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost, in that, that spirit. And I'm also indigenous, so there's like a parallel with Christianity and spirituality and indigenous beliefs about different deities, and they do different things, right? But so I've been trying to like really kind of like have an open mind about things because I believe that I believe that everybody has abilities, but I think just like everything else, like, yeah, we all have the ability to pick up an instrument and learn to play it, but there's going to be some people out there that are just like better skilled at it than the next guy. And I just kind of feel like that's the same thing with, the sixth sense, not like everybody has abilities to tap into it, but not everybody's going to be as good as it into it and as strong into it as maybe others are. So
innate ability to be able to encounter things that are more unexplained than others. Yeah.
well, yeah, like I know that I have gifts. I know that because I went through all that in a young age, it kind of told me like, hey, look, because it's crazy. So something that doesn't get talked of enough is that in the Christian faith and like Jehovah's Witness faith, they talk about people that are gifted, that have gifts from God, and that these people know that they have gifts from God. They call it something else. There's different names for it. Sometimes and you'll hear people call them anointed. They're anointed. It's because they have a special connection with spirit that the rest of the church doesn't feel like they have that same connection. I don't know if that's something different, but what I learned from my aunts and my grandmother is that we have a lineage of people that have abilities. My grandmother had abilities. As I got older and I started to talk to my aunts about this stuff more, it didn't surprise them at all. They were like, "Oh, you probably
Some
have what
people,
grandma had."
yeah, some people tend to suppress certain abilities because they were indoctrinated into a specific belief that will tell them that
That's
otherwise
bad.
it is wrong or
Yeah.
incorrect or something of that nature. Like children, for example, most children are able to see things or experience things that adults can't because they have not gone to that level where they've been told for so long that it's just make believe, that it's fairy tale, et cetera, et cetera. So they still have those innate abilities. It's not until we grow up and get older that they kind of fade out for most people. But yeah, there are still some people out there that maintain those different skills and abilities.
Yeah. So, one thing and again, like, over the years I've kind of like dabbled in reading, and when like you guys had like open discussion earlier about talking about different things with that lady and the feathers, and I guess different colors have different meanings. Now, as an indigenous person, I keep these feathers that I find along my path because I feel like they're like a keepsake from my guardian angels, saying like, hey, we're still here, like, like a bond. It's a bonding thing. So I tend to like stash them in my car if I happen to be in my car when I find it, on my motorcycle if I happen to be on my motorcycle when I find them, wherever. Like I have a bunch that I would collect, and so I made like I don't know, let's call it a wand, but I use it when I'm smudging to kind of like push the smoke around,
I mean, yeah. The thing about wands basically is that they're just like any other
tool.
Yeah, it's a
Right.
tool.
Yeah.
That's all it is a tool.
So, but I don't have a wand. I thought of getting one, but I don't have like, I'm not knowledgeable enough in it to like, I don't want to like dabble in something until I know more about it. Does that make sense? Like, I want to be responsible. But yeah, you're right. There's a lot of people that are like, because you're right, like Christianity teaches against it. Like, don't go down this path because it's like, not the good stuff. And so, and that it's just going to, open doors for other stuff to come into our lives. And, I feel like if this is part of spirit world, and spirit world has like a main deity that like governs over all in the spirit realm, right? It make and if I have these abilities, then they're natural. They're just as natural as my orientation. Like, they're there. You know what I mean? They're just like somebody's ability to play sports better than the next person. Like, that ability is just there. And then they're given the tools to either like manifest them and let their natural skills grow, or like you said, they suppress them. I did pray my suppression, I guess, because it's not because it was, I felt like it was bad, and I was trying to be a good Christian or whatever. It was because it scared the heck out of me. And I was actually in my early 20s, the last episode that I remember having. But I still go through stuff. Like, I still see things. I'll still see somebody walking by and disappearing around the corner of something. And like, so what I do for work is I'm a security guard, right? So my natural instinct is in my position is to go investigate why there's somebody on the premises that aren't supposed to be there. And then when I go to catch them, and I'm in a vehicle, so it's not like they can run faster than I can drive, there's no one there. There's no one there. And I'm like,
Maybe spirit activity.
yes, exactly what it is. And everywhere that I've ever worked, I encounter whatever residual spirit or energies that are connected to that place. So again, my abilities haven't gone anywhere. They're not really suppressed, but they kind of are, right? I feel like they kind of are because I didn't take the time to hone into my abilities, and build my skill. Now, so when I see people like, some of these like mediums, like, you know, like the Long Island medium, she's a grown ass adult, now a grandma, but she's somebody who never suppressed her abilities. Like she talked about doing it for a little bit, but then she like got into the work, you know? And so I wonder if like, could I reopen that part of me that I
Yes,
closed
you can.
down?
Absolutely.
But at the same time, it's like, do I really want to? Because that stuff was scary. It's scary to feel like there's so much tension in the room that people are throwing furniture around. Like, I don't know if you've ever raised, like I was raised with a raging alcoholic stepdad. And he would, from time to time, just be so full of rage that he would, like, he was a buff dude, right? Because he worked construction, and he could pick up an entertainment center and like toss it across the room. Like, I don't know how he could do that, but he could do that. You know, it was just crazy. It was just crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it is very much possible for you to tap back into it, but it's a matter of what limitations you want to put on that too. Because, like you said, if it's too scary, then is it something you really want to get back into, or is it something that you feel is best left, in the past? And that's going to be your main focus, is what you really want to put yourself through.
Yeah, and so like I kind of been and I go with energy, right? I go with the energy that feels good. So like I kind of follow this medium on here on TikTok. I follow a few of them, but one of them she does readings, and um she's kind of gotten me kind of interested in reopening that side of me, at least on a level of maybe getting into witchery. That maybe that's part of this ability. I don't know if I'm
Yeah, I
saying
mean,
that right.
the thing about spirituality is, if it's meant to call to you, it'll call to you, you know, unless you're meant to be exactly where you're at. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
When it's
Listen,
time for you to
Kristen,
move to to your true calling, or to your true path, or whatever you want to call it, it'll happen when it's meant to happen. It could be early in your life, it could be later on in your life. I mean, you can't really know for sure until it happens. But yeah.
Yeah.
right. And Kristen, we appreciate you so much coming up, but I do have to get to bed. It's 2:30 here where I'm at. So hopefully you come back and join us another time.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
yeah, and best of luck with all this because it sounds very confusing and difficult to navigate. And I haven't the slightest idea of, how I personally would handle it. So, um,
It's a
but yeah,
process.
definitely
Yeah,
come
no,
back
I
and join us
definitely I
again.
definitely feel sensitive to like, for some reason the spirit world is like drawn to me. Like even with animals, like I can go camping and there's going to be all kinds of woodland creatures around my tent, not any around anybody else's tent. It's weird. I get
Yeah,
adopted by
yeah,
all
for
kinds of
sure.
animals.
For sure. Well, we really appreciate you and thank you for coming up and sharing that with us. And
Thank you. I know
we
you're
hope we
tired as
hope to
hell,
see
girl.
we hope to see you again. And we'll talk to you later, Kristen. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, guys, it is that time. It is actually about 30 minutes past that time where we end the show. I'm tired. I don't know if you're tired, Drew. I'm tired. It's been a wild
Yeah.
night, guys. Holy
It's late
cow.
here
Did you
too.
like this is like one of the wildest streams we've had in a
It
long
was
time.
weird.
Yeah, pretty crazy. those guests from like an hour and a half ago. Holy cow. My mind is still back there, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I really, really, really had to bite my tongue with a lot of the things that they were saying, just to be respectful.
Yeah, I didn't even know what to say. I was completely speechless. But listen, guys, we've got a subscription. If you hit the little gold star, you get instant access to the Discord. We do many streams over there. We do all sorts of cool things over there. We're going to summon some demons over there. It's going to be awesome. You definitely want to tune into that. We are here Sunday and Monday nights telling ghost stories, gathering around the Holler Goblin. Get here at 11 because 11 to 12 is always slow. So if you didn't get in tonight, be here at 11 next Sunday. Until then, we will see you later. We hope you have a great week. And I hope that guy finds his dog man. I'm gonna be curious about that all week of
Absolutely.
if he catches his dog man. But we'll see you guys later.
Have a good night.
Good night.